Showers? Well, it's autumn already. Today was summer, and now autumn tomorrow, winter by Tuesday. Great. That's awful. That news was apart from the England result, which was 6-0. I mean, that's just embarrassing. I mean, talk about your shoulders drooping. You wouldn't want to carry on. You'd want to, go with your mates and book a trip to Amsterdam, wouldn't you? The entire Jamaica team are on their way right now as we speak. 6-0. Of course, we'll lose to Trinidad and Tobago. You know that, don't you? Have they finished searching that house yet? I don't know about you, but the first thing that I thought when they shot that bloke and searched that house was, I thought, well, are these the same experts who said that Saddam Hussein was hiding weapons of mass destruction up his house? British intelligence, a misnomer. Anyway, it's a tiny terraced house. How long does it take to search it? It was like 3 upstairs and 2 downstairs. That's it. It's got a kitchen, a bathroom, and 3 bedrooms. They're still searching. They've got a map, and they've got no... I was here in the kitchen just a moment ago. I've got no idea how to get back. Send in the dogs. So Lucy's had some very bad news this week. Do you want to talk about it, yes or no? You can shake your head or nod your head.
Yes, I can do.
You would like to talk about it, OK? It's the housing problem. Now, what you experienced happened to me in reverse, but you're trying to buy a house, right?
I am, yes. And it's all gone horribly wrong.
Pear-shaped.
Yeah.
Because?
Because everything was going through, we were about to exchange.
Because of greed.
And greed took over, yep. But, so the couple that we're buying from have decided that they'd like a little bit more money.
Right. Just at the very last moment, just because they thought they had you against the wall and you with no room for manoeuvre, right? Because you'd spent all of this huge amount of money doing searches and all that other folderol that we have to go through, all these hoops, most of which are on fire, that we have to leap through in order to just get somewhere to park our bottoms, because we're not, ministers of the state, and we don't have places to park our bottoms foisted upon us. 62-bedroom mansions in front of which we can play posh sports. But no, we have to go and search it out ourselves, and at the very last minute, of course, they can yank it away from you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they did.
They did, right.
So that's the end of that now.
How'd you like the house buying process so far?
I hate it! That sums it up very well.
Because this is one of the stupidest countries in the world, am I right? It's one of the only countries in the world where that can happen. If you cross the border and go to Scotland land, it can't happen up there.
Yeah. Sadly, not for us, though.
Silly, isn't it?
Very. It's just frustrating.
You'd think that a country that's run by lawyers would actually get its finger out and start, doing something with the law, instead of running around and everything that happens. Oh, well, we'll put a new law on the statutes. And people are scratching their heads and bemusedly looking at each other and thinking, well, we've got one already, just use it, that's all.
So when you say it happened to you in reverse, does that mean that you gazumped somebody?
No. I was selling a place,
right.
And on the day of exchange... How does it go? Exchange and then...
Exchange and then completion.
Completion. OK, so exchange is where you actually are...
Exchange the monies.
You actually are committed to buy at a certain price, right? On the day, the estate agent called up and said, everything's going fine, but they'd rather not spend quite as much, and they'll give you... he said something like, they've had a look in their pockets, and they didn't have quite as much as they thought they did. They counted out their change, and they're short 15 grand. Sorry about that. I said, I said some choice words, which you could probably get away with if I was playing rock music right now, or if I was working for the BBC, but as this is LBC, I'll...
refrain.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you threaten to pull out?
I said you can tell them to go themselves.
Lovely. Did that work?
And he went and he chortled, and he went away, and he called me back 15 minutes later, and he said, oh, you know what? They've just found some money.
Magic.
Yeah. They called up their mum, and she got the box out from underneath the bed and happened to have 15 grand in it.
Oh.
Who could have believed it?
Oh, it's so annoying, isn't it? I hate it. I don't want to move again, ever.
Well, you never want to look for another place, right?
No.
Because that is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you find it, the very first thing that you see, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me several times.
But the trouble is, in the time it takes when you then get to exchange, all the house prices have now gone up in that time. So now in the area we're trying to buy, we can't afford to.
In the time it takes for you between finding it and actually buying it, not only have the house prices gone up, but human beings have evolved into a completely different species. It takes so long.
Yes.
We've lost our little toes.
Yeah. So there we
I wonder
go.
when we're going to lose our little toes, because they're completely unnecessary. Our little toes could be fused with the toe that's next to it, and we wouldn't notice the difference.
Some
In
people
fact, it'd
have
probably
really
be
ugly
better.
ones.
In fact, Wayne Rooney would probably be, trolling the streets and picking up grannies right now, in the rudest of health, if his little toe was sandwiched onto the one next to it. Someone should duct tape it together for him, and improve England's chances, at least, well, fivefold. There being 5 toes on each foot. A statistician will probably ring in and say, it's not fivefold at all, you fool. It's fourfold. Count them. Anyway. So those are the topics we'll be discussing tonight. Little toes and gazumping. Only want calls on those 2 subjects, all right? Speaking of other radio stations, is this actually happened? Is this true, or has this actually happened? One of the two. There's a mixture. So the pedants among you can be emailing me right now. Of course, that sentence was incorrect, you realise. This is Jeremy Clarkson in the Super Soaraway Stun today. Driving home from work yesterday, I happened upon a late-night show on, should I even mention the radio station?
Not if it's not ours. Because no others exist, do they?
I think they do, yes. You live in a little bubble here, don't you? They do. Shall I mention it?
If you like.
Name the guilty party, starts with V and ends in Urgin.
Never heard of it.
A late-night show on Urgin Radio in which 2 contestants were pitted against one another in a wacky fun quiz. What makes it great and zany is that one contestant had to be, guess, two people on the phone. It's a wacky late-night crazy fun quiz on Urgin Radio. And this is Jeremy Clarkson saying one had to be what and the other had to be the other. Have a guess.
Drunk?
Go ahead. Yes. And now you want to say something, but you think it couldn't possibly be that, so I'll have to think of something else. But it is that. Go ahead and say it.
Stoned?
Stoned. One had to be drunk and one had to be stoned.
What?
Yes. On the radio. Jeremy Clarkson continues, now I'm sure this looked great on paper, assuming the paper was from an 11-year-old's exercise book. But in the real world there are going to be some problems, like you set up the competition to show how wacky and crazy you are, and then to satisfy the Blairites you have to cover the whole thing up with finger-wagging nonsense about the perils of alcohol and drugs. And that's just the start. How do you know the contestants are actually drunk or stoned? And if they are, how do you stop them being foul-mouthed and offensive? Sure enough, 30 seconds in, the drunk man used the F word, which meant that the stoned man won, even though he hadn't uttered a word. Upon being told he'd won the prize, he launched into a tirade about cannabis and had to be cut off. In my day, it was grand when I was a lad. I would have been put in prison for doing stuff like that. Never mind about fined off the air. Are you stunned? Are we shocked yet? Hello? Anybody? No? Just totally don't care. All right, then we'll take our first call, which is in Chester. Steve.
Hello, Nick.
Hey, Steve.
I want you to play a game with me. Now, conditions apply.
I'm not drunk or stoned.
Conditions apply. The listener's decision is final. No correspondence will be entered into. So I want you to guess my PIN number of my credit card.
Okay. Is it 2 8 4 6?
No, you're wrong.
Now, when you say no, I'm wrong, what do you actually mean?
Well, basically, that's 4 numbers, isn't it? Now, they reckon that's really tough to crack. Now, if that's really tough to crack, why do they expect me to guess 6 numbers to win the national lottery?
They don't expect you to guess it, Stephen. That's the point.
I'm never going to win it, am I?
No. Ever. Especially if you don't play it. Do you play it?
Occasionally.
Are they advertising with us?
I don't know.
No, I'm not asking you. Are you sure, Lucy?
Not as far as I know at the moment.
At the moment. See, that was the important part of that sentence. They have all the money in the whole wide... They've got all the money that Bill Gates doesn't have. And so they could possibly be advertising with us in future. And they're undoubtedly listening to this programme to evaluate whether this would be a good radio station to work with. So let me just say that they are a tremendous organisation who do great work for charity. And almost everyone who plays is guaranteed of winning at least £1 million.
I've got no chance.
Unless you screw it up, Stephen.
Just one last point to end on.
Yeah, is it 3678?
Nope, you still got it wrong. You know that terrorist thing in East London?
The what?
You know the terrorist...
Oh, the terrorist thing, yeah.
Yeah, now...
Supposedly. Supposed terrorists, yeah.
They said 250 officers. What were they going to do? Squash them?
How did 250 officers expect to get in that tiny house? I mean, 6 people, it would be crowded. I heard on a news thing today that somebody from that street said that the police, because the police had said we've been investigating these troublemakers for months, they said. We've been, examining them closely, and somebody from the street said, yeah, these policemen, they were sitting up the end of our street for 4 months, and they were there every day just drinking cups of tea. That's not really undercover police work, is it?
But don't you find that in America, when you see them on the telly with the American police, they sort of have 7,000 cars to chase one person, and we're getting that way in this country, isn't it? 250 officers for 2 people.
Well, none of them are actually. What do you do with the beat? You beat it. None of them are actually beating the beat. Suddenly, it's like a Michael Jackson song. So they're all in cars and they've got nothing to do. Because what people actually want the police to do, which they seem to be getting further and further away from it, and when all the forces merge until it's one giant mess of incompetence, like they seem to be going that way, no, you won't see a policeman at all, ever.
No.
Not walking around, anyway.
Anyway, you didn't win, by the way.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry about that. But
I'm a loser, baby, so why don't you kill me?
Thanks anyway. Talk again, Nick.
OK, cheers, Stephen.
Bye.
This is The Stephen Show on LBC. It's all about... So we all made it this week without being shot or stabbed, which is another tremendous step forward for the Home Office. They're really getting their act together, aren't they? How many times were you stabbed today, Lucy?
None.
None at all. Now, this is a thing that I asked last week. Is it one of these sort of fashion things? Because, you know, if someone gets bitten by a dog, then suddenly, every single day, you're in the rabid tabloids... Oh, that was appropriate. Then there'll be stories about people getting bitten by dogs. People get bitten by dogs every day of the year, day in, day out, right? But the papers don't report it because who cares? Unless someone gets really bitten, and then and then suddenly everyone's looking for one of those stories, right? Is the guy who's investigating the Princess Di thing really going to say that nothing happened? They're going to go through all of that for nothing? Nothing happened? There was no conspiracy of any kind? There wasn't somebody in the tunnel that had one of those giant flashing lights? Did you see that a little while ago? They had some sort of... I don't know, it's probably a Trevor McDonald thing on ITV when they investigated this, and they said, oh, yes, I saw one of these, but it was like a military device where they flash a light that's so bright that it temporarily blinds you, which makes it difficult to drive through tunnels. And that was the last I ever heard about that. They said, yep, definitely saw one of those, and we didn't hear a single thing about it. And then the nice man that was investigating it, he had his laptop stolen. Did you hear about that? So, no conspiracy there, then. Struth, it's almost as though these spooks have never been to the cinema. You know, we know all this stuff. Just take us for fools. That's because we just don't care. You know, you read the Sunday Times, or you just take any paper. Well, the Sunday Times in particular, perhaps it's just because it's apart from the news of the world, which is the only item of news that will be in there will be what happened on the reality television programme that happens to be hot right now over the previous week. The news doesn't trouble it. But in the Sunday Times, just one story after the next about just jaw-dropping incompetence and foolishness by the people that are running us, and you barely have the energy to return the page. You're so stunned. And promptly nothing ever happened. You never read about these stories ever again, right? Monday comes and everyone's forgotten about it. Why do they even bother? Anyway, what was I talking about before I got onto that? Oh, it's going to be one of those nights where I barely can finish a sentence before... I must be drunk or stoned. Maybe I'm on Virgin right now and I don't even know it. I'm hallucinating, Lucy.
Already? Being stabbed and shot,
Oh,
you were
yeah.
talking about.
I think I've done that.
You have. Do you want to go back to gazumping?
Or, in a related story, somebody had to stab a dog. You see how these stories are all intertwined? It's almost like a twofer. It's like a dog attacking and a stabbing in the same one. But that way, they can save paper and do their bit to protect the environment. Let's have one in the London Borough of Leeds. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, Adam.
How you going?
I'm all right, thanks.
Can I just ask you something? Are you going to be on this slot now regularly on a Saturday night, then?
I've no idea.
I was just curious. Also, just so that you can remember me, I'm Adam the DJ from Yorkshire.
Hey! Who are you, then?
I spoke to you many times. I used to go to college in Harrogate. About 4 years.
Oh, yeah, Adam. No idea.
That's me. You can't forget me that easily, can you, really?
Apparently so, yeah.
Blimey, the V-Place are getting away with a hell of a lot, aren't they?
What's the name of that? Who who sits in this booth, by the way? Who chews a pen like that? I mean, that's virtually psychotic. I mean, some people chew a pen while they're thinking, and it just has slight bite marks, but this looks like it's been attacked rabidly. I mean, this pen is barely clinging on to life. Who would sit here and do a show and chew a pen like that? I should take a picture of that and put it up on the net. That's scary. Anyway, we're going to compile a list of the people that you think are psychotic who are working on the air at this radio station, and we'll whittle it down, and we'll finger the guilty party, so to speak. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the V-Place are getting away with a lot, aren't they? Blimey, 12 years ago when you were there, that's nothing what you used to do comparison to this, is it?
Are you saying that what I used to do was nothing compared to that?
Yeah.
Correct.
God. And how they could actually get away with it without getting more criticism from other tabloid newspapers.
Well, standards are lax these days, apparently. People can do just about anything they like. I mean, I can't believe that you can say a word beginning with F on commercial. I know you can say it on the BBC because it's art, even if that bloke on, the main station says it in the morning. And he continues to work. And the BBC, he's just, it would be abusing his human rights in order not to let him express himself in that way.
The last time I spoke to you, I told you I was finishing off at a voluntary station in Bradford doing a community radio thing. I mentioned I was doing training to be a DJ on a community radio station last time I spoke to you.
Okay.
In Bradford. And we were talking about what you can and can't say, and apparently the only words you can't say on the radio are
Don't say it.
racist words. I'm not going to say it, like the N-word.
No, that's not true at all. There's a whole phalanx of words that you can't say, and in fact, phalanx is probably one of them.
Well, that's what he said. That's what the training bloke said, that there was only 2 words you couldn't say.
Well, I wouldn't pay attention to the training bloke. Is that his official title?
Training.
He doesn't sound like somebody you'd want to listen to. The training bloke.
Anyway, I'm just wondering. I was just thinking to myself. I think you've got someone after your job, Nick.
Who dat?
A girl who he calls up fairly regular from Barnsley, who was on about being a radio presenter. You'd know her. She used to call in at the other place that you were before. And calls you quite regularly now and says she's really interested in DJing and thinking she's probably after your job, mate.
I love it when people call up and tell me things that I've said and other people have said on this on any show they've ever done, and they seem to be perfectly cognizant of everything that goes on in this. But no idea what you're talking about.
I think her name was.
I'm just nodding and smiling. Of course, you can't see that on the radio.
Yeah.
So don't get into this business. Will you not get into this business for me?
I'm already in it, technically.
No, you're not. Do you get paid?
No, it's a voluntary thing. The only person who gets
What, the training bloke?
the training officer.
Oh, he's very good. He's worth every penny, he is. As long as they're paying him in pennies.
Well, I don't know what he's getting paid.
Do not get into this business. What do you want to do? Not be a DJ, surely.
Well, I'm interested in doing radio work, but I'm studying ICT at college, so I'm hoping to get into doing...
ICT?
Yeah.
What's that? Don't tell me. Information... Communication?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, I got it right. And information communication technology.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Great.
And so that's it, basically.
Already I'm doing much better than I did last week.
It's a really bizarre throwback, this, isn't it, Nick?
Can I go on to the second round? What do you mean, throwback?
Well, it's like going back to the past. You doing 2 jobs at once.
Yes. I had a good time today doing my other job. Of course, it's the Monsters of Rock today. Did you go, Lucy? No?
No.
Deep Purple were playing. Journey. Ted Nugent. Oh, you really missed out.
Blimey. Didn't realise any of them were still performing.
Hey, I wonder if I can go... You know, Roger Waters is doing a Hyde Park. You know, it used to be that you couldn't hire Hyde Park out for anything because you would be damaging grass. Now, of course, the amount of grass that will be consumed in front of Roger Waters is just through the roof. Not even Virgin Radio would put that on.
Well, the stupid thing about this is they don't seem to care. I mean, we've had to move Party in the Park over here in Leeds, that a local radio station does, over to a park in Bramham near Wetherby, because they said with all the lorries that were going up and down it was destroying the grass and the fields, and it was...
Around that nice house they got in Leeds, whatever it's called. It's about the only nice thing in Leeds, am I right? Apart from the people themselves.
Isn't that stupid? That they were making such a big deal out of you know... So what we're going to do, just have it there for another few years and let it, you know, then it can destroy all that area, and then what, move it back again?
I don't know, Adam, but please keep your local concerns to yourself. We've got enough problems of our own. We've got the Olympics coming up. You won't be paying for that. You'll be watching it, but we'll be paying for it. And you can have that with our compliments.
Okay, well, just remember me, Adam, the DJ from Yorkshire.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Speak to you later, mate.
Ta-ta.
Bye.
This is LBC 97.3. Let's go straight away to another call who's in Crouch End, and it's a bloke called Chris. Chris?
Hi, yes, I'm not a
Oh,
bloke.
you're not a bloke.
No.
You're a woman.
No, yes, I am. So people tell me. Anyway, you were talking about Princess Diana, and I was thinking that, you know, with 9/11 and Princess Diana and other conspiracy theories, like with President Kennedy, and I was thinking, all these people who say, oh, you naughty, ordinary person, because they call us the herd, you know, people like you and me, just ordinary people, which I think is a great insult. They say, you naughty, ordinary person, how dare you believe in a conspiracy theory? But my point is, how do they know? Because they weren't there. And there's, I mean, I'm nothing to do with explosives, you know, I'm not an expert on explosives. But there's somebody who is, and his name is Benton K. Partin, and he's a premier expert on explosives.
Who?
Yes, he's from the States. He served as commander of the Air Force.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Oh, you
no
know
idea.
of him?
No clue.
Oh, no, okay.
Anyway, where's this going, Chris?
Well, he says, because, you know, people dare to question the accepted view of what happened in certain conspiracies. He says, blast through air is a very inefficient energy coupling mechanism against heavily reinforced concrete.
You're reading this.
And columns. I'm reading this bit. By contrast, heavily reinforced concrete structures can be destroyed effectively through detonation of explosives.
Chris, where's this going?
Well, because, you know, just ordinary mortals who dare to question the accepted theory.
Naughty mortals.
Yes. How dare we use our brains and, you know, think and question the accepted view of conspiracy theory?
I intend never to use mine again.
But
thereby keeping it fresh.
Well, no, because the brain, unlike other organs of the body, the more if you don't use it, you'll lose it, and with the brain,
Oh, wouldn't that be great, Alex? If the more you used it, the bigger it got. Hands up in the back there. Who would like that as an added extra?
Well, the more you use the brain, the better it gets. But this man, Benton K. Partin, he has said
very good.
So in other words, what he's saying is that with 9/11. That the airplanes, of course, you know, the airplanes did go into the Twin Towers, but what he says, this military expert, is that it's not a very efficient way of demolishing buildings.
Well, apparently so.
Yes, and especially...
Unless...
Well,
oh, boy, they almost completely shut her up. But that was excellent. Thanks a lot, Chris. Does anybody have any idea what she was talking about?
No.
Oh, hands up in the back there. Who is hooked on Big Brother? Anybody? And Lucy, you're shaking your head. 7 million people are watching this rubbish.
I don't want to watch it. It's the first time I haven't watched it.
It's the first time I have.
Yeah,
We've segged into each other like that. But there's another stupid reality programme on at the moment. Well, there's just nothing but, right? And if it weren't for the football, we'd have absolutely nothing to look forward to at all until 24 came out on DVD. But the other one is X Factor, Celebrity X Factor. Just when a format's getting tired, just stick the word celebrity in front of it, and then suddenly you'll ramp up the viewing figures. But I refuse to watch more than one stupid reality programme at one time, because that would be like going from a diet of fruit and vegetables, you know, documentaries and the news, like I used to watch, to just going straight to heroin. It would be like popping into the toilet in an EasyJet plane after, what's-his-name had been in there? Mr. Baby Shambles.
Oh, Pete.
What is he thinking of?
Oh,
he just wants to get, what, dead?
Can you imagine seeing him on your flight? It would just be so... The entertainment's here.
Yeah, and here is your captain. That's not entertaining, though, is it? Some guy goes into the toilet for 15 minutes. I mean, how many toilets do they provide on an EasyJet flight? They don't give you sandwiches. How many toilets do they provide? Probably not many. And he's in the only one with a bath. And he goes in there for 15 minutes, and he comes out with a leather belt wrapped around his arm. Unloosening it, or rather loosening it, undoing it, and loosening it. I'm trying to, save the planet as well by twinning words so I don't have to say both at the same time. As he strolls to his seat past a group of school children. Out of it. Allegedly. Well, you don't have to say allegedly for him, do you? What's if he's going to sue me? Oh, I absolutely wasn't stoned on that flight, Your Honour. Just look at my record. Yeah, OK. I'll tell you what, I'll stick my neck out. He was. How's that? That'd be the trial of the century. He'd have to get the lawyers that the guy who stabbed his wife got in America. Yeah, you know that guy. That guy plays golf all the time now. Don't say his name, because he was found innocent. You were about to say it, weren't you?
No, I wasn't, actually.
Lucy,
I was thinking of another
Lucy.
case that I was going to say to you.
Which one?
I went, well, I don't know if I should talk about that one
A guy
either.
who's also guilty. Name him. Name him, let's
well,
shame
he
him.
wasn't. No, he wasn't
Oh,
guilty.
the innocent guy. Yeah, what was
Yeah.
his name again?
Can I say it?
Of course.
OJ.
Yeah, that's the guy that I was...
That was the guy you were talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Okay.
Apart from when I said that he was
Well,
guilty.
it feels like dodgy conversation we shouldn't be having. Let's
yeah.
not. I don't.
If only we were playing music, we could say anything we liked. But unfortunately, adults are listening. See, if you've got children listening, like you're doing a show on a children's station, or late at night on, basically another children's station, then you can say anything you want, up to and including the F word, apparently. You don't have to dump it, and they don't take you off the air. Incredible. But adults might be listening, impressionable adults, people who are in their 50s, and have got to that age without actually hearing such language. And there'd be, people would come in here and drag me off in chains.
But we're so grown up, we don't need to use the F word.
Exactly, you don't need to. It's not necessary to go to satellite radio, like Howard Stern kept moaning and whining. Of course, if you've got a show and you're on the air for 4 or 5 hours a day, then a part of the show, if the show, because you've got take a breath. Oh, everything's coming clear now. I can see clearly now the rain has gone. Everybody! So if you've got a show that lasts that long and you don't do topics and issues, then most of the time you just bitch and whine about the radio station that you're in, because then the show makes itself. You can pull the show right out of your... Yes. No prep required. You just moan about your bosses and this, that and the other. And I know loads of talk show hosts in America who do just that. They come in and it's like a soap. And they're moaning about... I'd be moaning about you right now. But there's nothing to moan about, Lucy.
Oh. Not yet.
I'll moan about this audience. How's that?
Yeah, go on then.
I wonder if they want to play the game, or whether they've even totally forgotten about that. Because I didn't do this last week, and probably not the week before. I think there's part of me that doesn't want to give my own money away. Can you believe it? How stingy is that?
What else could we give away?
Well, they're not interested in money.
Well, they might be.
Well, do we have a gift pack? We'll rustle you up a gift pack. How's that? It's a 2-week stay at a 5-star hotel in the Maldives with a butler. What else? Slippers and a gown. And a packet of fags.
And a meal?
No meal. No. You have to buy your own meal. Hey, who chews these pens like this? I'm keen to find out. Who does the show in here? Does it flip-flop? Because we've got 2 studios here, and they're both on-air studios, right? Do they do hot seat handovers?
We do hot seat, yeah.
Right. Why? You've got 2 studios. One person could set up all their business in one studio without interfering with the business of another.
Yeah, but some
people
presenters
prefer
like
one
to be,
studio or the other.
exactly
They're identical. There's nothing to...
There is a difference.
What difference?
That studio's bigger.
Well, by how many cubic centimetres?
There's a bit more room on that side where you could have extra guests if you wanted to.
Guests? Oh, we
And
should have
also-
guests, Lucy. How many guests have we got tonight?
I've got a few lined up.
Couple of guests?
They should be arriving soon.
Excellent.
A few bands. Yeah.
Bands, you say? What, Deep Purple have hot-footed it from Milton Keynes?
Yeah, they're on the way.
We're having Speed King any moment now. Anyway, so I refuse to watch more than one stupid reality programme at a time, but, of course, the tabloids don't. They watch the lot, because that's all they've got to talk about between now and when the football starts, and then they'll be putting all of their reserves and concentration on trying to get us knocked out of the World Cup. I guarantee it. They've started with a couple of stories here and there, but they haven't really rolled their sleeves up yet. You know, once the World Cup starts, there'll be 2 reporters per player, and they'll be following them around to report any single thing that they do. Oh, well, he had 2 cups of tea instead of 1. He's off his head on caffeine now. How can we win? And it's, they'll be digging a hole for them. They've lost it for us. It was Beckham what lost it for us, says The Sun. And they've already started on Sven, which, it's not really, it's not in the spirit of it, is it? That building is not flying an England flag right now. They're trying to come up with anything they can get on any of them, because that's the way you sell papers. Not with happy stories, with sad ones. But anyway, until that happens, they're up to their buttocks in these stupid reality shows, and I refuse to watch more than one at a time, because as I say, that would be like going straight onto straight from a diet of carrots to sweets all day long. But fortunately, the Mirror isn't so shy. Sharon Osbourne flounced off Celebrity X Factor after a furious row with fellow judge Simon Cowell. Is there a single programme on television that this man is not either on or has a hand in? The amount of money that he earns, and no one will tell him that he looks fat in a stretched T-shirt. I mean, you haven't got the body for it, Simon, seriously. Somebody should tell him. Somebody should whisper in his words that a man with boobs that big shouldn't wear slinky T-shirts. I mean, come on. She was incensed, apparently, Sharon Osbourne, who flounced off this show, after Simon Cowell failed to back her up after she gave contestant Rebecca Lewis the silent treatment. Rebecca Lewis, remind me, she's the one who was supposed to have...
Yes, and she went onto the farm as well.
David Beckham's ear. What
That's
farm?
Right. Do you remember, there was another reality show called The Farm.
Oh, the shame of it, Lucy. You've been watching that too?
No, I just read the paper.
The Farm? What was that? Was it actually on a farm?
No, she had quite a famous episode in there.
Episode?
Well,
what do you mean?
I don't know if I should mention it.
Oh, go on. Force yourself.
Well, it was to do with pigs.
An episode with pigs?
Yes.
No.
Alex is trying to say it too, but
It was a lucky pig, put it that way.
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
It was a bit rude. Anyway, that's what she became famous for after David. And then now she's doing
Now, were the
this
two
too.
in any way connected?
What, the pig and David? No.
Right, so that's what she's famous for, being on stupid TV programmes.
Oh, yeah.
There seems to be a whole industry of people that you've got no idea who they are. Like, you pick up these stupid... I've got to stop saying stupid, because these things aren't stupid. They're watched and consumed by the majority of the population. And if they're stupid, that would make the majority of the population stupid. And that's not true, is it? Anyway, she was incensed, and Michel... he failed to boot Rebecca Lewis off, and booted her act Michelle Marsh off instead of Lucy Benjamin? And already I'm lost. This is Celebrity X Factor, right? I have got no idea who any of these people are. Who's Lucy Benjamin?
EastEnders actress.
How do
and
you
she
know
also
that?
went out with Phil Mitchell.
Phil Mitchell, who's
EastEnders as well.
his paramour is the woman who edits The Sun, right?
No, that's Grant Mitchell,
Who's
who
Phil
is Ross
Mitchell?
Kemp. Phil Mitchell is Grant's brother, and his real name is...
So Phil Mitchell is the fictional character,
Yes,
right?
yes. And
You
it's
see how
Ross...
lost I am?
Well-
I feel like my
Phil and-
dad, who
Phil
calls the
and Grant
television
are
the
brothers.
wireless.
Yeah.
That you know all this is a little bit scary, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I took you for somebody way brighter than this, but you've read about it, right?
But
You haven't watched it.
Well, I do
absorbed
watch
it by
EastEnders every now and again.
osmosis.
That's it.
How can you watch a programme like that every now and again?
What,
Surely it
EastEnders?
requires that you watch every single one, no? I mean, it's an ongoing story. You
No,
can't dip
no.
in and out.
No, that's the beauty of soaps. You can miss several episodes and still catch up.
Well, you don't know who's doing whom.
But you can catch up.
With what?
The omnibus?
The omnibus.
No, I would never watch
That's
that.
awful. I mean, that's just so depressing, the thought of it. You sit in on a Sunday morning
No,
for
afternoon.
5 hours watching endless people go, oh, because the moment that show starts, oh, that and Coronation Street, just the music of it is the death march, isn't it? Coronation. I mean, you always want to throw yourself out the window just listening to the music. And EastEnders the same, just that drum beat. That's the drumbeat of death right there. And then you can absolutely guarantee... this is a reason I've never watched these things, because the moment it starts, the moment the music finishes, the very first thing that somebody will say will be, yeah, it'll be like that. Everyone's miserable and ugly all the time. Why would anybody want to watch that? I don't get it. And you know what? Soaps are an accurate reflection of the country that they're set in. America, everyone's been clipped and snipped up to their eyeballs, and their faces are stretched so tight they can barely blink. But they look great, and all their teeth are, freshly done, and they've got their makeup great, and their hair is huge, so big they can barely get through doorways, and they all drive expensive cars, and all they're interested in is sex and money, which is a fairly good approximation of much of American society. I mean, as long as you stick religion in there somewhere. On the coast, it's sex and money. Right in the middle, it's religion. I know where I'd rather live. This is LBC. Wendy, she's laughing. That didn't sound like it was in Super Soaraway stereo to me. That sounded a bit rough. Lucy.
Do it again?
Sounds like she's gargling chips. Carol's been on a lot. Carol is great. Easiest show I've ever done when I was working with Carol. Anyway, X Factor thing. Look at that board. This blows and sucks at the same time. It's like a Dyson Hoover, which came out bottom in a. They advertise with us. Everyone should own one. Do they?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Right. Let's burn our bridges. They came out bottom in a list of reliability of Hoovers for the 7th year running. Can you believe it? That is shocking, because they cost like twice as much as anybody else's, because they come in colours. But it's not like they make them here anymore, so they haven't got that excuse. So why do they cost so much, and they break down more than any other, can't say that, can you, vacuum cleaner on the market?
Do you own one?
No, I don't. And but it's the biggest selling vacuum cleaner in America, apparently. I don't know what the statistics are over here, but it's through the roof. Why would anybody spend 300 quid on a sucking device?
I'm never sure how much you should spend on these things anyway.
We're back to Rebecca Lewis.
Oh.
Who's Michelle Marsh?
Oh, yes. And now I wasn't sure of this, but I was told that she is a topless model.
No, you got that wrong. A topless model. You drop the L off the end. A topless model.
Model.
Modu. I think it's modu. It could be model.
Model.
That would be the Essex received pronunciation. But I think the word actually ends in a W. Modu.
Oh, that's new on me.
You're getting it. Anyway, whoever she is, I mean, that's just ridiculous. This is a celebrity programme, and no one's ever heard of any of the celebrities on it, apart from the people who are on the judging panel. And we only know them because they've previously been on judging panels. And this is what ITV have come up with in order to beat off the big beast that is Big Brother, which I'd have to say has been fascinating, particularly in its first week, principally because there was somebody breaking down on air. It was Shabazz. When he got knocked out, I thought, I'll do the whole show as Shabazz. Because I grew up in Scotland, and it comes quite easily to me. But I haven't heard him speak for a little while now, and I might be getting it wrong. Anyway, the whole show will be like, as Shabazz now. It's 08709090973. That's actually scarily accurate, isn't it?
That really doesn't sound like you at all.
But does it sound like him? That's the point.
I don't know, I don't watch the show.
Oh, you don't watch the show? Well, I'll just say yes. It's a tremendous success. Anyway, back to this stupid thing. X Factor. Sharon was so angry she stormed out in tears and refused to do the Extra Factor show later on ITV2, the after-show digital satellite channel extra thing, sucking the juice out of the format by spreading it over their brother satellite channels, ITV2. The main one's on ITV, probably lasts an hour, seems like 3, and then they put 10 hours on ITV2, and they just go on and on and on about it. And they drag the people from the main show over to the ITV2 programme, because it's in the same studio. They just have a different person fronting it. But the judges are forced under contract to go over and have a quick chit chat, but their cars are waiting for them. Car for Mr. Cowell, and he's got. I'll give him 5 minutes. He's contractually obliged to give him at least 5 minutes. And you can see it on their faces, they're itching to go. It's like me. I mean, if this was a 4-hour show, I'd be perfectly happy to sit here till 2, right? But as it's come 1 o'clock, I want to get out of here right now. Who's next?
I think it's Bill.
Bill. Right. Have you called him? Make sure he's coming in. Give him a wake.
Would you like me to?
No. Don't bother the man. Hey, where was I? Oh, yes. So they drag them over and they're just, because they've done their bit. That's an hour. And they've got, 50 grand a show, 100 grand, whatever it is. They're throwing money at them, right? Television money. Oh, don't you just dream of it? For us, it'd be like working on BBC Radio. It's like you prostrate yourself on the floor and open your arms and mouth wide, and somebody just pours money all over you. Wouldn't that be great? Can you imagine that right now? You've got a mental image of that, don't you? Squirming around in money, in the taxpayers' money. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, ITV, it's the the advertisers' money. A show insider said Sharon just left the studio. Her daughter Kelly was waiting and had no idea she'd gone. So Sharon did the main thing on ITV and then flounced out and refused to show up for 5 minutes on the ITV2 thing, knowing full well that that would not invalidate her contract and she'd come back next week, right? It was all kicking off. Producers were trying to persuade Sharon to do the Extra Factor with the other judges, but she wouldn't budge. She felt truly let down by Simon and just didn't want to be around him. For him to choose to get rid of her act after failing to back her up was just too much. You can virtually see the back of their hand against their forehead as they do one of those Southern Belle swoons. Oh, it's all too much. She was incandescent and had to get out of the studio before it all got out of hand. That the Mirror is printing this rubbish, complete with photographs, is incredible. Don't you think? I mean, isn't that just stunning? This is not news, this is PR. She did not flounce out of the studio in a state. She's a professional. She's, 50, 60 years old now? She looks like she's 50 or 60 years old. For a moment there, I thought, because she's had a lot of work done, right? I thought, well, she's probably 50 or 60, but she must not look like that. I haven't seen her in a while. And then so I was sort of looking around in the air, as I do, because when you're just speaking off the top of your head, you don't fix on anything, do you? You just sort of, your eyes wander around. And then and as I came to the end of that sentence, I looked at a picture of her which I've got clasped in my hand, and I thought, no, 50 or 60, that's about right. She should get her money back. Mind you, what she would look like otherwise, you never know. How many colours are in her hair, by the way? Like 6, 16, like 106. Hair doesn't come that colour. She's like Neapolitan ice cream, isn't she? Anyway, it's just so silly that they fill up a half a page with this. It's PR. They're trying to get an audience to watch that silly show, and so they have a fight every week. Every week, it's the same thing, and the PR company, who are probably being paid a gigantic amount of money to get stories in the paper for this show. I bet it's Freud's or one of those companies, and they just write it out, and it comes off the fax machine and the mirror, and they hand it straight to their printer, and they say, "There you go. Don't change a word." Newspapers, eh? Anyway, this is LBC 97.3. Have we had a call yet?
No. Oh, Archie rang earlier on.
We had two. I think we've had 2 calls on the air in the first 10 minutes. Apart from that, I've been talking to myself. This is not the Steve Allen show. I take calls. 0870 9090 973. So far, I've talked about house buying. I've talked about reality TV programmes. What else did we talk about? Stabbings, right. Devil dogs. We talked about terrorism. We talked about Princess Di. We talked about conspiracy theories. And a myriad other little things that I scattered in there. Apparently none of those topics are remotely interesting to this audience. So we'll go away and come back and see if we can't change things.
Once upon a time in a...
Does anybody like me have a problem with television announcers? Because they seem to... It used to be that they would be almost unnoticeable. Are you with me? And they would just say what channel you were watching and what was coming up next. And then they started to be given their head. That's a phrase, right? Be allowed to do their bit. And so then they'd start spoiling the programme that you're about to watch. And coming up in Frasier, there's a special guest appearance from Woody. Well, it's not a special surprise appearance anymore, because now we know, you moron. And they do that every single time, such that at the start of every programme, I'm rushing to the remote. Because I know I have to... If you're going to watch what's coming next, you have to stop them speaking, otherwise they're going to ruin it for you. That nobody has complained about that is a mystery to me. I mean, I'm not alone in having a problem with that, am I? It's a direct question to you, Lucy.
No, you're not. Well, it's more the language that annoys me. The incorrect English that they often use.
Oh, no, you're not one of those people, are you?
Sometimes I am, yeah.
But now it seems that they're just dragging people in off the street. ITV4 have got the worst TV announcer I've ever heard in my life. Like, the programme will end, and usually it's Larry Sanders on ITV4, and he sounds like this. Coming out next on ITV... In fact, it's worse than that. It sounds as though he's talking from the other side of the studio, kind of like, coming up next on ITV4, we've got something really great, just stay tuned, and, yeah, that's it. And we're back. Shouldn't be hearing the music now.
On FM.
So they're picking on Canada. That seems a little unfair. What have Canada done? Do they have any troops in the sandy areas? Huh?
I don't know.
Can you find out? But it seems... well, why pick on Canada? That seems a bit bizarre.
Celine Dion.
Well, that's just not fair. Very cruel, Alex. But I'm trying to think of what comes from Canada, and I've got ice hockey, maple syrup. That's it. Does anyone have any idea what Canada actually does? What's it for? Apart from as a buffer to the north of America from the ice. It keeps the ice out. Otherwise it would be just too cold to inhabit Chicago. Canada. Anyway, it's... now, I'm guessing... It's not a holiday today, and it's not in the middle of a holiday. I guess the kids are out, are they? Kids are on school holidays? But I went into town, in the middle of town today, and it was kind of like a Sunday. Well, but because in the middle of the West End now on a Sunday, it's pretty busy. It actually wasn't as busy as a Sunday. It was really, really quiet. From the moment that I went in, which is about 12-ish, up until 6. I mean, it wasn't dust wasn't blowing across Oxford Street like in the Wild West. Doors weren't swinging on their hinges, but there was virtually no one in town, and I can't figure that out. Why is that? It's a direct question to you, Lucy. Was there a reason that there's no one in town?
The sun was out. Maybe they were sitting in parks.
That could actually be it. Yeah. But people have got to go shopping. People have got to go shopping. And Saturday's your shopping day, right? Sunday's your day sitting in parks, mind you. And you know what? I complained about the weather at the start of the show, and I think he upped his forecast to a more satisfactory conclusion, didn't he? Because at the beginning of the show, it was like it's going to be showers tomorrow.
But now it's only going to be showers in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. Sunny periods and 22 degrees centigrade. If we keep moaning, it'll be 27 degrees centigrade and another scorcher. But yeah, you might be right. Everyone was sitting in a park because they couldn't believe it, ripping their clothes off and, burnt... What was that?
That was Alex's mobile ring.
What noise does it make?
Well, it sort of makes a noise that sort of goes, oh no, like that.
Only an engineer, eh?
I know.
Shouldn't it be on vibrate?
It should be, especially in a studio.
Exactly. How unprofessional. Where is he?
He's here hiding now, in shame.
If you go to the toilet, don't wash your hands. That should be an edict in this building. Do not wash your hands after using the toilet. They should put a plaque up on the wall, and you know why? It's because when you turn the cold tap on, it comes out with such force that all the water goes out of the sink and onto the front of your person, where it looks embarrassing, as though you can't control yourself. They should actually put a plaque up. Please do not wash your hands. Right, let's go with Hyams Park. Hyams Park. Where's that?
Just up by Chingford, northeast London.
Ah, yes. Mike.
Hi, Nick. Good to speak to you again. I'm one of your listeners from over the years, from your days back in Virgin and other places.
Without mentioning any names, that was great, yes. Virgin, you say?
That amongst others.
Right.
And a few others.
So, what's up, Mike?
Bank charges.
Bank charges, yeah.
Yeah. Just thought I'd mention them and try and spur some other people to some action. I don't know if you've been following the stories on the news the last few months about ordinary bank customers taking their banks to court over bank charges.
Taking them to court?
Yeah.
I thought they were just moaning.
They're moaning and getting lots of money back.
Really?
Yeah, it pays to complain.
It certainly does. Yes, you're right about that. I mean, it gives you grief and will shorten your life because of the stress involved. But if you do complain, more often than not, you do get some sort of recompense, yeah.
Yeah, but you can the great enjoyment is not just getting a couple of £100 back, but you actually give the bank some grief back as well.
Oh, like they care.
Oh, they do care.
They certainly don't.
They do.
Because you're talking to some poor soul who's sitting in a room with 100 other people who hate their job.
Yeah.
And in front of them, they've got this ticking thing that says 27 people are waiting, and you've got to get through the calls as quickly as possible. And those are the people that you're shouting at. These are the people that we should actually be helping because they're being abused by the banks just as much as we are. But that's the only face of the bank that you can actually interact with now because your bank manager, well, it doesn't exist anymore, does it? Because everything's on the internet.
Yes, but if you actually have to get your bank charges claimed back, you normally have to send them a court action. So you get to speak to one of their solicitors, well, by mail.
Well, the solicitors are just are honking with laughter because every complaint that they have to deal with, they get paid more. So once again, we're stymied in wanting to call the people who are responsible to account. You have to actually go to Hong Kong itself.
Well, the main bank that I've actually got charges back from initially is...
Don't say it.
It's one of the UK ones. It's not the...
Are any of the banks actually owned by us anymore? We don't own anything anymore,
well, this
do
one
we?
has just been taken over by the Spanish.
The Spanish?
Yeah.
Right.
Just recently taken
Spanish banking practices coming your way.
Oh, well, these practices have been here already, but they've just been putting up their charges year on year.
The figures that the press came up with, something incredible, like if you go over by 10 quid, or your agreed limit, it'll cost you £200, because they charge you every time that a direct debit doesn't happen, and they'll charge you for the initial going over, and then they'll charge you interest on that, and then they'll charge you for having to calculate the interest, and they'll charge you for having to write a letter to you to tell you that they've calculated the interest, and on and on and on it goes.
Yeah. If you go over by £5, they'll send you a letter which will cost you £25.
And they're making... Oh, I don't know. Let's just grasp a figure out the air, shall we? £10 trillion a year. They're making enough that they could actually build the Olympic Games village single-handedly.
Yeah.
By screwing us, the general public.
Yeah, but it's not our time.
And we're saying, thank you, may I have another?
No, but now if people are out there listening, they should actually stop moaning and start actually writing in, get their charges back. There's a few websites, actually, at the moment where they can actually go on, get advice, and
parking, that's another thing, that it does pay to complain. I got a parking ticket late in the middle of winter. Oh, Lucy she'd like to interject now. Now she's getting like frothing at the mouth.
Oh, I got one this week, that's why.
Hang on a minute.
Oh.
I got one at 1 minute past midnight, a Sunday night, in the middle of winter, in the rain, and they said that I'd park with one wheel on the pavement. Now, this particular pavement... It was a strange road, and the pavement was a foot high. I'd have had to use a tractor to get up on that pavement. No way! I would have to take the entire front wing of my car off to have parked on the pavement. And I said, can you imagine that? Sunday night, at 1 minute past midnight, they're giving out a ticket. And so I took a picture and sent it off, and they said, oh, well, right you are, Governor. We'll just rip that one up then. What a racket! So, in other words... They didn't have to check it or come around and investigate it further. You just complain, and they said, "Oh, right, you are."
Yeah, they'll try it on.
We're banged to rights.
Yep.
You got us there.
Yep.
Unbelievable. My recent thing, and I'm sure about either I'm losing my mind. I know I've said this on the air before, and nobody brought me up on it. I parked my car on a Sunday morning. You're looking stunned already, Lucy. That I managed to actually park my car in the middle of the West End. I know, I found a space on a Sunday morning at about 10 o'clock, and I came back 4 hours later, it wasn't there. So I called the police, 999, and they say, is this an emergency? I said, bloody well, it is for me. My car's not there. They said, oh, we'll check for you, sir, and it's been towed. So I go in, and because they didn't put a ticket on it, because they picked it up and took it away, it's not 40 quid, whatever a parking ticket is nowadays. What is it? You can get away with paying 40 quid? No, I was saying get away with paying. Like, isn't that shocking? That's the mentality that we have now. That just to go about our normal everyday business, we're getting away with something. We're being fined into the ground. Is there anything that is that we do on a daily basis that does not involve us being fined? Can anybody think of anything? Hands up at the back? No? Breathing. Well, they're working on that one.
Yeah, they are.
And so I went to pick it up, and because they'd taken it away, of course, it wasn't 40 quid, it was £200. And these lorries that were taking cars away, 5 or 6 passed me, fully laden, as I was walking to the place in Hyde Park, it is, at the top of Park Lane. Park Lane?
Yep.
Yeah, Park Lane. That's that motorway that goes by the hotels, right? Everybody treats it as a motorway. It's the only place in the middle of London you can actually get up to over 100 miles an hour, am I right?
Just about.
And so you go in there, and the lorries with cars on them are backed up. There's a queue of them waiting to unload these cars, and you go downstairs. It's the tunnel of death. That walk, if anybody's ever done it, it's... they say, oh yeah, you go down that tunnel and then turn right at the end. And you remember the TV programme from America that was... Get Smart. Do you remember the start of it? He's walking down a tunnel and the doors are clanging behind him. It was kind of like that. It was the tunnel to nowhere. On Big Brother, they got the bridge to nowhere. This was the tunnel to nowhere, because it went on as far... You'd need binoculars to be able to see the end of this tunnel. I'm not kidding. It was about a mile long. on and on and on. And every cinema film that you've ever seen with a long tunnel means that every fibre of your body is screaming at you not to go down this tunnel, right? Because there's a completely featureless, barren waste of a tube that you're going down. Anything could happen to you along the way. You could die of hunger halfway down and nobody would ever find you. And so you're trudging and trudging and trudging and on and on. And the car park must have been in Manchester. The door was in the middle of London, and they'd actually towed my car to Manchester. And so you get to the end of it, and there's 1,000 cars in there they picked up that day in a cage. Oh, it's like being at the zoo. It's awful. All these caged cars. And you have to give these types £200 of your money just to get your car back. No, you can complain afterwards, but you have to pay up front to get your car back. Yeah. Now, they said that I'd parked in a residence bay, which I'd have to say was wrong, because I went to where I'd parked my car, and it wasn't there. And and so I took a picture of where I'd parked it, and it was on a meter. And of course, Sunday is the only time that anybody, apart from Roman Abramovich, can afford to park on a meter in London's West End, because it's about £10 a second, right? In fact, people are at meters just constantly feeding them, because the thing's constantly just running out. But you can't actually leave your car, you can only park it and walk to the actual meter and just feed it, like those people in Las Vegas feed slot machines. On and on and on it goes.
Is it free on Sunday afternoons?
It's free all day Sunday, so that's where I parked my car. And they said, oh, no, you didn't. You parked it in another street. A different street. Now, I know that I didn't, because as I walked from my car, I mentally said to myself, oh, I didn't say that's a shame. I used another word, because it was early on Sunday morning and I was tired. I didn't particularly want to do what I was about to do, but anyway. I said, I've got to cross this road to get to where I'm going. And then, do you ever talk to yourself like that? I'm constantly having deep conversations with myself, which usually end in shouting. And so I said, I've got to cross this road to get to where I'm going. And then I said, oh, don't be silly. It's a tiny little road. It's only 2 lanes wide and there's no one on it. It's Sunday. It's in the middle of a residential area. And so that was the conversation that I had as I was walking the 30 yards to where I was going to work. And I came out and it wasn't there. And they said, oh, no, you didn't. You parked it on a different road entirely. Not the same street even. Not even a different part of that street. Another road. And I said, prove it. And they said, righto, here's a picture of your car parked in this street. I swear I never parked in that street. Now, 2 explanations. First is, I'm losing my mind. Hands up who think that's a possible explanation.
Yes.
Second explanation is they picked my car up.
Yes.
Put it down in a residence bay, took a picture of it, picked it back up again, and drove it to the pound.
What?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Can anyone believe it?
Yes.
Are we stunned yet? What a racket. And what can you do? You've got to pay. You can't say, oh, no, I didn't, because they'll say, oh, yes, you did. It's like a pantomime.
By the way, were there any...
calm me down.
Were there any CCTV cameras on the street?
No, it's not one of those kind of streets.
Okay. No, because if there had been, you could have possibly got...
Oh, yeah, they would have given up that film. Yeah,
no,
sure they would.
No, if it's on public street and if you're right into the other...
Listen, a plane crashed into the Pentagon, and only years after it actually happened did they release one grainy camera that supposedly showed it doing it. And if you look at that footage, doesn't look like a big plane to me.
It's pretty small.
Pretty small, yeah. Kind of like a missile, you mean? Yeah, a little bit like a missile, yeah.
Very small.
Nice try, George.
Oh, by the way, just hope that they keep you on your phone-in talk show slot. You know, it's great hearing you again, but it's hard to keep track of you when you're... you know, they put you on different evenings, different days. So.
I should wear one of those ankle bracelets. Yeah,
that's a very good idea.
When Michael Carroll comes out, I'll have his. All right, thanks a lot, Mike.
Okay, great to hear you.
Ta-ta.
Bye.
This is LBC.
London's LBC.
Earlier on, This is a little insight into my mind. It's completely. It's as though somebody's taken a computer, right, and given it put rocks inside and given it a big shake. That's what my mind is like. Just bits of scattered information coming out, and I never finish the sentence. Right? I was talking about TV announcers. They're a shower. Apart from this really incredibly annoying habit that they have of telling you everything that's about to happen in the programme that you're going to watch, that's coming up next, there's a big surprise ending when Bambi's mother gets shot. Oops, I've given it away. And they think it's a joke, which is another reason that I can never read reviews of films, like, ever. Because the filmmaker has gone to great length and huge expense to put surprises in the film for you, which reviewers always, because they haven't got anything, they've got no thought in their head. You know, a film reviewer has a pretty awful job because they sit in the dark for 5 hours a day, at least on Mondays and Tuesdays. I mean, they'll start at 10 in the morning, and I've done this, so I know what it's like. You start at 10, and the movie will finish at 12, and the next one starts at 1, and it's across town. So you've got no time for lunch, so you grab a sandwich on the way there, and the next movie starts at 1 and finishes at 3, and then there's another one at 5, and you're inside all day, and almost every film you see is rubbish. Most of them never trouble the multiplex up your area. Awful, just film after film after film, and you've got to sit there because it's your job, and every fibre of their being wants to crawl outside because it's nice outside. And once you've seen 10,000 films in a month, you've got nothing to say about them anymore. And so you're reduced to telling us the storyline. Because there's only so many things that you can say about the acting and the direction and the cinema... Some people can't even say it. The cinematography. Cinematography. Why isn't it cinema photography?
Because it doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right is the correct answer. What was I talking about?
Can't you do a ding?
Well, I thought...
Oh,
I thought I was going to, but I can't be... Oh, all right then.
Thanks.
Yes, and so they end up, because they've got all of this stuff to write about all these movies that they hate, and they can't be bothered to write about because... You know, direction is like neither here nor there anymore. No one is an auteur anymore, not like in the good old days in the 70s when all these crazy people were doing films, you know, because for the art of it. Now it's all about money, right? And you'll direct a movie about Asian women playing football one day, and then you'll be directing a movie that's got Superman in it the next. And what the two have to do with each other, no one has any idea. And so directors, well, I mean, I don't get that anymore. The woman who did Bend It Like Beckham is now going to be doing... Is it Superman or it's something like that? Maybe it's not Superman, but it's just something... it's just a mystery to me, because you wouldn't expect an author, you wouldn't expect, what's her name, with the Harry Potter books, to write a novel with tons of sex in it, would you? Because it's not her thing. Wizards and warlocks and diagonally. That's her thing. So you'd expect her to stick to what she knows, right? And the woman who did Bend It Like Beckham, whatever her name is, and then you give her something like I know it's not Superman, but it's something like that. Something you wouldn't think
What's
in
her
a
name?
Million years. Is it? I don't know.
Then I can Google it.
I've got no idea. Nobody cares. But yeah, so that's something that's always mystified me. Because in the old days, a director would pick and choose his subjects because he was interested in it. Right, but not anymore. They're just like Jobsworths. They're like brickies. Oh, you want a wall over here and a wall over there. I'll do you a movie over here, a governor, and, you know, it'll only be 100 million. Oh, I couldn't bring it in for under that. We could start on Monday, but we might not be around till Thursday. Is that all right? And so, yes, so that's a mystery to me, modern-day directors. They're not like the auteurs of the past. What a ridiculous word auteurs is. I can't believe I've used it 3 times now. Count them. But television announcers, that's what I was talking about. What a shower. And the guy on ITV4 is the worst ever, because he just sounds like the janitor. He's got no concept of how to use a microphone, because like I said before, he talks like this. Like, the programme will end. And he's like, oh, yeah, coming up next on ITV4 is something else, and it's starting now. Can anybody hear me? Maybe I should do the whole show like this. Maybe I should do the show like this, talking like Shabazz. I could do the whole show like this, talking like Shabazz. Wouldn't that be great? I wonder what's happened to Shabazz. Has he gone on... One of them went on hunger strike. The black woman that went out, she wanted to leave, but they made a show of forcing her out. I'm talking about Big Brother again now. Forgive me.
I've heard about her. Is she the one that's gone on hunger strike
She wanted to leave. She said, "Can I go now?" And they said, "Sleep on it." And she went back the next day and said, "I'd really want to go now. Can I leave now? Can you open the door? I'd like to go." And and whoever it was, whatever dope was doing the voice of Big Brother that day, said, I can't remember her name now. They said, "We're throwing you out." Like she'd resigned and they're sacking her. That's pathetic. Anyway, she's going on hunger strike because she says she doesn't smell, or something like that. They painted her as smelling. You know, everyone in that house seems amazed that it's on television and they're being manipulated for our pleasure. Have they seen that show before? I mean, even I, and having never seen that show until the current series, knows I knows. There's something I knows, and I knows that, right? I even speak like one of them. I could do the continuity on ITV4, innit? But the worst, flat out, absolutely, positively the worst, is the guy who does the voiceover on Big Brother. It's 11:27 p.m. No one speaks like that. He's got the broadest accent of anyone I've ever seen on television, apart from Rab C. Nesbitt. What a classic programme that was. Nobody south of the border had the faintest idea what he was saying. It was one of the few Scottish comedies that made it down here, despite no one having a clue what they were talking about, because it was just so funny. That was one of the greatest comedies that television's ever seen. And it made it down here. I don't know what the audience figures was like, but in Scotland it was through the roof. Quite right, too. It was absolute genius. But no one down here had the faintest idea what he was saying. Jimmy. They should repeat that. Absolutely hilarious. Because I lived in Scotland for a little while just recently. They had more Scottish comedy programmes, which were laugh-out-loud funny, much better than any English comedy programmes that were on at that time. But they couldn't play in England because no one would have a clue what they were talking about. That's the Glasgow accent for you. And I just did, that was a posh Glasgow accent as well, because you could actually make out the individual words, right, rather than it just be sounding like somebody hitting you around the face with their tongue.
Can you do the Edinburgh one as well?
Well, Edinburgh is much more refined. Depending on where if you come from Morningside, then you're speaking very... And, of course, the further north you go, the more pleasant it is on the ear. And it's almost the complete opposite. What's the out here? 29:45. That's very remiss of you not to have told me that, Lucy. You're enjoying this show a little too much, I think. Pay attention, woman. But, of course, in Scotland, the further north you go, the more pleasant on the ear it becomes. Having got past Newcastle, and that bloke who does the voiceover on the Big... It's painful. What do we think about the voiceover on Big Brother?
I hate it!
What was that?
Sorry, it's bad rap scene, Nesbitt.
Oh, that was awful. You failed that test. But thanks for playing. Let's go with one in Clapham. Greeky Lion. Is that your name?
Hello, London. Hello, the world. Hello, Nick Abbott. Yes, that is my name, Nick Abbott.
Your name is Greeky Lion?
Yeah, Greeky Lion. That's my AKA, as they call it. Otherwise known as Greeky Lion.
Right. What's your name?
My name is George Giorgio, but most people call me Greeky Lion because that's my stage and musical name.
Right. So, what's up, George?
I thought, first of all, you heard you talking about Canada a while back as well.
Your stage name?
Well, I'm in the music. Sorry, haven't I talked to you before?
Oh, mate, I don't listen to this show.
Okay, you don't listen to this show. Will you just present it sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay, well, my history starts first with Marcus Churchill.
Oh, history? Let's not go... No, this is not a history show. Your stage name?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm a sing-jay. I started off with reggae music and I
You're a what?
I'm a sing-jay. I sing and I DJ. in the reggae music. And
he's a Sing J.
That's what they call it, a Sing J. When you can
Actually, the guy who runs my local newspaper shop is called Sing J. Are you related?
No, unless you can sing J as well. No, we're not really related. Is he Greek Cypriot?
Well, why don't you sing us something simple like ABC? Have you chosen Creaky Lion as your stage name?
Actually, that's the name that people gave me.
Right.
Yeah, people named me that. I'm not that big-headed to name myself.
Right. Okay. Were they friends? Or enemies?
They were actually fans more than
fans. Oh, okay.
Fans and friends alike.
Well, you're lucky to have more than one. Fans, plural. Creaky Lion. Okay, what's up, George?
Well, I heard you talking about Canada earlier, and I thought, it'd be nice to chat a little bit about Canada.
Have you been?
I have, unfortunately, not been to Canada. I've been nearly everywhere.
Oh, we've got an expert on the phone.
I've been everywhere else in the world since I used to work many years ago on the Queen Elizabeth II.
Right, but you've selected not to go to Canada, specifically.
No, I know a lot of people that have family in Canada.
Oh, right. You haven't been yourself, but you've got a lot of friends who have.
And my own sister-in-law, her godfather lives in Canada. We've got a lot of Greeks in Canada. So because I'm from Cyprus, we've got some Greeks from Cyprus who live in Canada. And it's actually, there was a survey done a few years ago on some American cable. And they actually voted, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, Canada was voted best country to live in. The highest standards of living is in Canada, apparently.
Yeah, as long as you don't want excitement in your life. I think Canada is America without all of the colour, isn't it?
Okay, you've been there, it sounds like.
No, I'm as much of an expert as you are. I've been to America, but not actually Canada. Denver is as near as I got.
Okay.
Which is not near at all.
I've been to Toronto. I mean, I do know that people that I've known in the music industry go out there and do shows, so it can't be that dead stock as you say. There must be some shows going on in some places like that.
Well, my radio hero lives in Canada, and he's chosen to... He does a show in Miami...
Okay.
And he's chosen to do it from Canada. So it must have something going for it, yeah.
Must be something going for it.
Well, I think it's got an excellent standard of living and less violence.
Yeah, apparently they've got as much guns as the Americans, and...
but they use it to kill moose.
Not as much gun crime and no violent crime.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of what Canadians actually do, and all I can come up with is maple syrup and toothless ice hockey players.
Okay, and they're very friendly people as well. Apparently, they don't all lock their doors up like we do down here.
I bet they do.
Yeah,
well, maybe if they've got a house on an ice floe with no one around for 100 miles. If their house is actually an igloo, they wouldn't lock the door. But I bet you every penny that I earn today, that Canadians lock their doors just like we do. Luxembourgers don't.
Okay, there you
Luxembourgers park their car and just leave the keys in and walk away, just like they do in Monaco, because everyone's so fantastically rich that no one would think about stealing anybody else's car.
Are you very serious about that, or are you just joking?
Well, no, Luxembourgers don't... maybe now it's changed, but when I went to work on Radio Luxembourg, and the only thing about Radio Luxembourg that was bad was that you actually had to go to Luxembourg to be on it. Most people think it came from a boat. Oh, no. It's this tiny little place in the middle of France and Germany and Belgium. Right. And Luxembourgers will speak every language under the sun, including your own, but they'll hate you for speaking English to them, like the Dutch. But no, and the English had a dreadful reputation. We were the thieves, because I worked in a building that had... it was in the middle of a park, and it was the Radio Luxembourg English service, which is famous, right? Is that still going?
Very famous, actually.
And then they had the German service and the French service and the Luxembourg service and a couple of TV stations. They had loads of radio stations and TV stations all in the one building. And whenever anything went missing, it was the English what done it. What a shower we are. And the Luxembourgers would literally park their car and walk away with the keys in it.
Wow.
Because it was a very sleepy place. There was a sandwich shop in the middle of town that closed for lunch.
Sounds like a very nice paradise at the time you... At the time you went, it sounds like a very good place to have been at that time.
It's a lovely place to go for the weekend. I wouldn't want to live there. I spent 6 months there, which is about 6 months too long. But a lovely looking place. They do German Umpar bands in the main square, and they serve steins of beer and coffee with whipped cream on top.
Do they serve their beer like in them boots like the Germans?
Boots?
Yeah, Boots, glass Boots. You've never been to Germany?
Can you buy beer in Boots in Germany? I have no idea. You can buy it in McDonald's, I know that.
Listen, in a place called Bremerhaven. You know Bremerhaven?
Oh, yeah. No.
Right, they drink their beer in glass boots, mate. You can get all like 2 litres nearly in Boots, right?
Oh, of course they do.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, so far we've come up with Nice. They have they play hockey, and that's it for Canadians. And a lot of people from the Sandy area are very angry with them, apparently. I don't know, they beat them in ice hockey, we've got no idea.
It doesn't matter, it's not... It's
I guess not, yeah. But anyway, it's been an education. Thanks very much, George.
Before you go...
And another thing.
A lot of people actually know me on the radio, so...
I seriously doubt that.
All our close family, knit family on LBC.
Yeah. All of your fan.
Right, well, actually, today I'd like to say that 2 radios advertised LBC, okay? And that's because of my music, and one of them's asked me for an interview in 3 weeks' time. So really? I just wanted to tell you that
incredible?
I've advertised LBC today to...
Well, I'll tell you what, George, why don't you sing something simple for us right now?
Okay.
Just give us a tune.
Oh,
no, we've run out of time on that call. It's one in Clapham now. Oh, Marco.
Hello, Nick, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
I was listening earlier and I heard you say something about directors and how there aren't any more auteurs.
Yeah.
That's funny because I really agree with you, and I think it's become a very cynical business now.
It's just odd because directors used to choose their projects. They used to nurture them from script stage and stamp themselves all over them. But now that doesn't really happen anymore, does it?
No,
I mean, even people like Francis Ford Coppola, who have directed some of the greatest movies ever made and some of the most stylised films ever made, he just knocks out rom-coms now and just whatever the studios give him to do. They're like just jobbing.
Well, I think it's the Hollywood influence. It's got to be. I mean, I remember, great French directors like François Truffaut used to make their life's work. They used to have a series of 5 films, 6 films with the same character. Every few years they'd have a sequel. And it was just interesting movie making. And it's because he wasn't funded by Hollywood. He wasn't funded by cynical producers, so all they want to do is make remakes of already successful films.
Yeah, French movies, though. I mean, some of them are great, but mostly it's women with their buttons undone, sitting around eating brie and talking about sex.
You sound like you have a problem with that.
Well, I don't mind every now and again. I mean, like, some of them are all right, but I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want it to be my daily entertainment. Because they all last 3 hours as well, which is okay if it's not Blue Velvet, what was the other one? Betty Bleu. Betty Bleu. Which you can watch once in your life because it lasts for 6 months and nothing happens. And it's beautiful while it's going on, but you just never want to go there again, am I right?
Yeah, you're right. I think the problem is that no one's taking any risks anymore.
Well, I was looking at how much films cost. They had the forthcoming movies, so they were going to be soaking up all the screens at your local Cineplex. Of course, all of those films are rubbish, and naturally, it's just popcorn for the It's something to watch while people eat the popcorn they bought. It's almost like it's the wrong way around. But they all cost at least £100 million. Poseidon thing, it's getting on for £200 million, and so everything has to be nailed down to the finest detail, and nothing is left to chance. There's no art in it. It's all it's
an example because
it's all. Hang on, it's all. It's like everything else these days. It's all. What is it when they get a lot of people in and
like committees?
Kind of, but it's like focus groups. Exactly right. Give that man a bean.
Good.
Have we got any beans? No, give him a banana. Anyway, what were you saying?
Well, Poseidon's a good example. The original, which a lot of people thought was a good film, didn't use any special effects. They all did their own stunts.
Shelley Winters was that fat. Are you saying that?
I had to break it to you. But, she did her own swimming. They did their own swimming. They did their own stunts. And so why remake it and spend so much more money with lavish special effects, are you really going to get a better film?
Well, for the very good reason that people who go and see that film people who go and see blockbusters are mostly teenagers. That's the market that they're after. Teenagers will not have seen anything with Shelley Winters in because it's practically black and white, and they refuse to watch anything that doesn't have explosions and car chases in it. Are there any car chases in Poseidon Adventure?
I don't
know.
think so. Maybe a few lifeboat chases. I don't know.
But that's the reason they keep remaking things. That's also the reason they keep re-releasing songs in different versions, because you can just churn it over and over again because it's already had a focus group on it. The biggest focus group of all, Public Opinion. They've previously gone out and bought it, so they think, well, that's all the information I need. And because these things cost so much, they want a guaranteed hit. And the way of getting a guaranteed hit is to remake a film that's already been successful.
But meantime, you don't get any new experiments. You don't get anything new and refreshing.
Well, you do, but you have to really seek it out. It won't come to your local multi-screen cinema, no.
Wow. I just think it's very sad, I'm afraid.
I'm starting to refuse to watch them now. I didn't go to the Tom Cruise thing because it only got 3 stars. I thought, oh, forget, because I can only get fooled once, usually.
Right.
And for Mission Impossible 2, sucked out loud. And so I thought, no, not again. Not even if Tom Cruise spends 10 hours shaking people's hands outside the Odeon Leicester Square.
And you've got The Omen coming up now on Tuesday.
And The Omen, I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, they could dream up more interesting ways for people to die, but my absolute favourite was The Omen, the one with the guy in the lift. And he gets in the lift. This is the best death of all time. He gets in the lift, and the lift starts plummeting to the ground. And he thinks, oh, I'm going to die in this plummeting lift. But it stops.
Yeah.
And he thinks, oh, my life is saved. And he's lying on the floor of this lift. And then there's a shot of the cable, which, under extreme pressure, snaps at the top of the lift shaft. And this cable travels down the lift shaft and slices the lift and him completely in half.
That's exactly right.
Brilliant.
Memory.
And the other good one was, let's talk about great deaths in cinema, shall we? A guy's travelling behind a lorry laden with sheets of glass.
That's the one I remember.
Brilliant.
The decapitation.
He's in something, I think he's in an open-top car, and he's travelling behind a lorry which has mysteriously chosen to load plates of glass vertically rather than standing them on edge like you're supposed to. And the lorry comes to, I guess it must move away, not come to a halt, because if it came to a sharp halt, the glass would travel forwards, right?
Well, I remember it travelling back.
Yeah, so the lorry must take off really fast.
Right.
I don't know how they managed to do it, but they did. It's cinema. It's the beauty of the moving image. And a plate of glass comes back and takes his head completely off.
Absolutely. Clean.
Brilliant. But they'll just come up with more exciting ways to die, because basically that's what that film was all about, right?
See, that's what, you see, you've hit it right on the head, you know.
That and that all children are evil. I think that was the message that they were giving.
Well, that might be true. But instead of just remake, because this is like the remake of Psycho. They're remaking it apparently scene by scene.
Are they?
Same script. That's
You're kidding.
No, just like, do you remember the Psycho remake?
Yes. What was now that is laugh out loud silly. What a concept that is. Let's remake it in colour. They could have tinted it.
So why not just take some of the elements and make a new film out of it instead of just, aping it? I don't know.
Always take care of your mother. Will you do that for me, Marco?
I always do, mate.
All right, thanks a lot, mate.
Thank you. Bye.
Ta-da, this is LBC. Let's have one in Wallington. Where's that, Joan?
Wallington. Well, it's sort of between Sutton, Croydon. It's quite near Croydon.
Wallington. Doesn't that sound like it would be somewhere awful, like Liverpool?
Oh, no, it's nice. I remember the first time I took it in, and I was going past Wallington on a Saturday morning in the train, and I looked down the high street, and I thought, hey, that wouldn't be a bad place to live, and that's where I ended up, and that's where I stayed. It's quite nice.
Well, that's a beautiful story. For everyone can ponder that.
Well, I'm sure they could. Except they're about to change it quite radically.
About to change what?
Wallington High Street.
Are they?
Yeah, they're just closing down about 4 shops in a row.
Have they got any proper shops there left?
Well,
or are they all chains?
They have wee shops, really. Yeah, they've got a little bit of a mixture still. Quite a few charity shops, but it's still got the same kind of almost villagey atmosphere that it had before, right in the beginning.
Right, well, they'll get rid of that.
Well, they will. As I say, they're about to take down about 4 shops in a row, and God knows what they're putting up there.
I'll tell you what they'll put in there. Tesco Metro.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. What do you mean, oh, no? Do Tesco's advertise with us? Everyone should buy at least something from them every day. That's what Lady Shirley Porter says.
Oh, really? Well, I'm not that keen. I'm not that keen. But then I'm not that keen on Lidl, and we've got a Lidl.
Lidl?
Lidl. L-I-D-Y-L, I think it is.
How big is it?
Oh, it's big. I mean...
Oh, it's not... right, okay.
It used to be the Sainsbury's.
Lidl? What's Lidl?
I think it's German, I think. And it's a little bit basic, to say the least.
Basic?
Yeah.
Well, is that their thing, or is
yes, that's their thing.
Okay.
And sometimes you get good bargains, but it's not that happy. Well, actually, it's better now than it used to be, because there would never be more than one till open, and they don't give you bags and all that sort of thing.
They don't give you bags?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Joan.
Yeah.
Not even in Germany would they not give you bags.
They don't give you bags.
Who does he think he is kidding, Mr. Little?
So I don't go in that often.
How can they not give you bags?
But I'm at this very moment wearing a watch I bought in Lidl's. And it works.
What time is it?
Look, the big hand says it's past something or other. Yes, fine.
No, that watch fails this test.
It's actually quite good. And the thing, why I bought it is I'm allergic to lots of metal. You know, if it's got any nickel. I think it's the nickel that's the problem. And
you're allergic to metal? That sounds incredible.
Yeah, so I can't wear earrings or bracelets or necklaces or anything that's got any nickel in it. And
well, I'm allergic to wearing earrings and bracelets and chains because I'm allergic to looking like a chav.
I don't look like a chav if I were.
Well, no, not you, me.
Well, you look more than a chav. You look a bit silly, wouldn't you?
You got yeah, exactly.
I don't think you're the type at all.
Because a lot of people walk around like they've been in an explosion in the jewellery section of Argos, don't they? They're just like covered in the stuff.
Yeah, and actually, you know, there are times when I wish I was like that.
No, you don't, Joan.
I do. And yeah, the other day I said, oh, at the time I looked a wee bit more feminine, and so I put 3 bracelets on altogether.
And how did it look on you?
Well, actually, they cling together and they scrunch up together, and it looks not bad, considering I've been doing gardening all day.
But they make a sound. It's like those little bells that they put on cats, so you can hear where you're coming, you know.
That little sound?
Time to put your bowl out.
Can you hear it?
No. But anyway, what did you call about, Joan?
Oh, well, I heard you being a little bit cynical.
That doesn't sound like me, does it? Huh?
You're having a lovely old cynical rant. About the plane that was supposed to have flown into the Pentagon?
Yeah, seriously doubt that. Here's a plane that's absolutely stuffed with fuel, right?
Yeah.
And it makes a neat hole that's about 15 foot across.
Yeah.
So in other words, the wings folded back. And so only the fuselage... I don't know, they disappeared into thin air.
And the tail? What about the tail?
I think Darren Brown had something to do with it. And and just the fuselage went in and then dematerialised in the space of about 15 foot. Yeah, not one bit of that plane was found.
No debris, no bodies,
nothing,
no black box.
Nothing at all. And it punched a hole, conveniently, in a part of the building that was already... had been vacated because of building work.
All the important things were right on the other
And all of these cameras that were pointing to the area, they had all of their footage removed for years. I mean, how many years is that now?
And evidently the Boeing couldn't have made that maneuver.
Well, apparently, because it was flying at 500 miles an hour, 6 feet off the ground, right? And the world's best pilot would have trouble putting that together.
Couldn't have done it.
And some guy who didn't even want to know how to land the plane and could barely ride his own bicycle was supposed to have banked it at an impossible angle and then put it into that building. No, we seriously doubt that.
No, the funny thing is, you know the man who's just made that film about the other plane, the one that's on its way to Washington.
Yeah, are we advertising that?
I don't know. Why?
Well, because if we are, then I'll shut up right now.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to... I was just saying, he was talking about the making of it.
Right.
And he said that, they had enormous cooperation from the American...
We are.
government.
We are, right. It's an excellent film and everyone should see it.
Well, it probably is, actually.
There's a very interesting... Are you on the net?
No, my son is, but I'm not.
Okay, you want to point your son in the direction of a documentary called Loose Change. Now, a lot of the things that they come up with, you think, well, these people are obviously off their heads. Of course, they didn't make all this stuff up. But some of them, you think, you think,
Well, yeah.
you can't think your way around it. It's a conspiracy theory nut jobs heaven. Hang on a second. It's called Loose Change.
Yeah.
And you can see it you can buy it or you can see it for free if you go to neilrogers.com. Neil
Rogers.
Yeah, he's an American talk show host. He's my hero.
Oh.
He's the reason that I'm doing this show right now.
Really?
And if you go to his website, then you can watch it for free. It's called Loose Change. And there's a lot of things in there. You think, how could they possibly explain their way out of that one, you think?
Yeah.
And one of them is, how on earth did that gigantic plane disappear into that building without any bits?
Yes. And the people that were supposed to be hijacking the planes and driving them or piloting them so carefully into the Twin Towers, they had only had very few piloting lessons.
I know, they could barely find their own bottoms with both hands, and they're supposed to be able to fly one of the most complicated airplanes in the whole wide world. I know.
It's a very specific
It's a
target.
Mystery, Joan. But thanks a lot, I've got to go.
Thank you.
Cheers, dear.
Bye now.
Ta-ta. What a nice lady.
When I grow up, I'm going...
Spitfire flyby in Biggin Hill. Oh, I'd like to have heard that. Not seen it necessarily, but heard it. Is there a better sound that has ever been made by man than the sound of a Spitfire? I'm serious. Have you ever heard a Spitfire, Luce?
No, not close up.
It's it's not the sound of an engine. It's organic. It's beautiful. I'd like my phone to ring as the sound of a Spitfire. Men gave their lives and saved this country from a Nazi hell, and I want to download it as a ringtone. Weak. I'm ashamed of myself. Oh, it could be, in fact, that's probably £1 million idea I've just had right there. It could have shelling of the Somme and screams in the trenches. Possibilities are endless.
Less annoying than Crazy Frog.
Oh, you just spoke all over the hay. Can't believe it. That's the last one today as well. Shame on you, Alex.
Do you want to play it again?
What did you say?
So shall I play it again?
No, before that.
Oh, I said better than Crazy Frog.
Crazy Frog, yeah. Crazy Frog, crazy...
Wasn't really worth spoiling the hay, was it?
No. And he's dead now, you know.
Who, the frog?
No.
Liberace.
Librace, yeah. Oh, well. We'll just put that behind us and move on, shall we? Because we could descend into a funk about that, and it could destroy the whole show, Alex.
Keep your mouth shut.
We'll just move on, shall we, Lucy? We'll rise above it.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. So John Prescott's had a good week, hasn't he? Well, at least he's still smiling. What a face. John Prescott's attempt to hang on to his job as Deputy Prime Minister suffered another setback as it was claimed he encouraged his lover to breach civil service rules during their 2-year affair. Excuse me. Shortly after the story broke about, Miss Temple disclosed how they had repeatedly had... Oh, no, do we really want to think about this? Miss Temple disclosed how they had repeatedly had sex behind a door in his office while staff worked outside. It must have been a double door. She also told how they met in his official residences at Admiralty House and Dorneywood in Buckinghamshire. The guide that they're referring to, the civil service rules, instruct staff and senior managers at the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister not to make improper use of accommodation or furniture. Maybe he, because, people in office don't have ordinary furniture, like you and I would have. You go to your office and they've got one of those $49.99 swivel up and down chairs, which are perfectly comfortable and serviceable for years on end, am I right?
Your one you're sitting on as well.
No, I know that. I'll get to that in a minute. But most offices have those blue chairs, yes? They go up and down, and they're perfectly nice, and no problem at all. And people can, fart into them for years on end, and they'll still work perfectly serviceably. Am I right?
Oh, I think you are.
But oh no, that is not good enough for our lords and masters. And you can see that it isn't whenever they show a clip of one of the committees, because they have it in Portcullis House, which, by the way, per square foot is the most expensive office block in the world that they built for themselves with our money. Isn't that nice? And they spent so much money that they thought, oh, shall we save money on furniture and buy ordinary furniture like you and I would have? Oh, no, they thought. We want designer furniture for our ample bottoms. So they went and got themselves Charles Eames Classics. How many? Boatloads of them. And you watch the parliamentary channel or any time they have a committee, and they're in a room and they're all sitting on green chairs. Now, I've been in that room, and there's about 100 chairs in there, and they're all the same, apart from two. They're all Charles Eames Classics, which cost £1,300 each. Apart from two chairs in that room, they're all the same, and the two chairs are where the stenographer sits. A secretary, in other words. She sits on one of those blue $49.99 chairs. That's where she sits. All the politicians are sat on £1,300 chairs, which are unsuited for the job, because they swivel and they've got metal arms. And because they're packed in, there's so many in there, you can't get up or move around because the metal arms are constantly clanging against each other, because they're jammed in there. They must have 100 chairs in there. You work that out at £1,300 each. That's 130 grand's worth of chair in one room. That's where they're spending our money. They don't care. These chairs, and if you've got no idea what the kind of chair is, you'll know it when you see it, because it's like the most famous office chair in the whole wide world. The ones that they got here are called Aeron chairs. These also cost £1,300 and are supposedly the most ergonomic chair on the planet that has ever been invented. Well, that may be true, but there is one small design fault. Have you noticed? And everyone sits in this chair in this building because they must have had a sale on, because there's so many in here. One small design fault. And there's a bar across the front, just behind your knees. And so if you have it slightly raised so that your knees are slightly lower than your hips, which most people do because you have to get up to certain heights to work at a table, you'll notice that after a while the bar that's underneath your knees stops the blood from flowing to the bottom part of your legs. So if you sit still for a couple of hours, you get up and you fall down because there's no blood in your lower limbs, and your fall is only saved by your face. A small design fault. But hey, if you only spend £1,300 on a chair, what do you expect? Anyway, back to John Prescott. Hey, I'm actually going to finish a thought. Can you believe it? Miss Temple's, she made a diary. John is thrilled. In one section she wrote, "Things always started with us touching." This is in the Telegraph, okay? It's not going to get too racy. It might have been me touching his arm, or him patting me on the back. Have we got that music that... Come on, Lucy, you can take it. Have we got that music that Simon Bates uses? And Alex is
Apparently,
actually
yes,
looking. We do. Unbelievable.
Can you sing it till we find it?
Looking and looking. I'll tell you what, I'll just do it without. It's Simon's. Let him keep it. Oh, we do. Things always started with us touching. It might have been me touching his arm or patting me on the back. We would kiss, and things would go on from there. Now just imagine kissing. You've got that in your mind, haven't you, Lucy? It'll help if you close your eyes and pucker up. So are you with me at the kissing phase? Go on,
if
try
I
it.
have to be.
Do it. Sometimes it was behind the desk. But mainly we stood behind the open door. An open door they did it behind. That must have been one huge door. He'd be on one side of the room, and she'd be on the other, their bellies touching.
It doesn't say that.
No, I made that bit up. A spokesman for the Deputy Prime Minister insisted that Mr Prescott had not breached the rule book. The guide applies to civil servants, not ministers. So, in other words, the guidebook, just because it didn't say ministers, because it didn't think it would have to, right? They can misuse the furniture all they like, just as long as they're not doing it with a civil servant. Anyway, he's given up one of his heirs, the one that he played croquet in front of. And that was his big mistake. Not that he swanned off and had a pub lunch at our expense, because they're doing that all the time. They're forever having lunch at our expense. That's what they do. That's why they're so rowdy in Prime Minister's questions, like I was saying last week. It's not because they feel strongly about the issues, because they're all drunk. And, I forgot what I was going to say now. I'll work backwards. Drunk, croquet, the Dawny Wood. Yeah. And that was his big, that was his faux pas. Because if he'd been playing football, that would have been all right. Oh, we're just having a team-building exercise. But because he was playing the posh person's sport, he's, he's the voice of the working class. He used to be, until he got all the trappings of power. And, all that kind of goes out the window once you've got 7 butlers to choose from. Am I right? And so he was like a class traitor, and that's why they've been going at him. And now he's given up the house. Now the tabloid press have the scent of blood in their nostrils, and they're not going to give up because they see a weakness. And they're like sharks. They'll attack when they see something weak. When the sharks are circling strong prey, they don't bother. Like if they're circling killer whales, they'll give them a wide berth, right? Like if the tabloid press is circling Elton John now, for instance, they probably won't take it upon themselves to, make stuff up anymore. But when they scent the scent of blood in the water, then they go into a feeding frenzy. And now he's given up the house, then they'll want something else now, and they'll just chip away at him bit by bit until he's a shadow of his former self. Have you still got that in your mind with the kissing?
I'm imagining the bellies rubbing together more.
Lucy, you disgust me. I know I've gone on about chairs before, but it's one of the few ways that I know of detecting how much money has been spent on a place, because I know how much chairs cost, right? I can look at a chair and tell you pretty much how much it costs. I'm an expert, as long as you're talking about 2 chairs. I know how much this one costs, and I know how much the one that they all have over the Houses of Parliament. But but to me, it's an indication of how much of our money they're willing to just throw around. Because in a building, you can't really look at a building and see how much stuff costs, because much of the cost of a building is hidden away. I mean, you could think that, that's marble. But, how much is marble? Marble can be relatively cheap, or it can be phenomenally expensive, so you don't really know. But you know how much a chair is. So if they're spending £1,300 on comforting their own bottoms, then you know that they're spraying money around like it's from a hose. They're just out of control. They just don't care. Anyway, that's why I go on about chairs so much. Here's one in Guildford. Stuart.
Good morning, Nick.
Stuart.
You were talking about remakes of movies earlier?
Yeah.
Well, have you ever heard of War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells?
Of course.
I have actually read the book and seen the first original movie.
Did you get the
CD?
The Wayne's, not Wayne's World, Wayne. Jeff Wayne, that's right.
Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds on CD.
Yeah.
I've got the...
With the plummy tones of Richard Burton.
Julie Covington, David Essex.
What did David Essex used to put in his eyes, by the way? Because he had the spangliest eyes in the whole wide world. You remember him on Top of the Pops?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. But my criticism is Steven Spielberg and the producers wasted all that money on War of the Worlds, the movie that came out, I believe, last year, correct me if I'm wrong, or this year.
Yeah.
Got the story totally wrong. And the concept of the story totally wrong as far as H.G. Wells' book and Jeff Wayne's musical version is concerned.
Well, that's not the point, Stuart. It's not whether they followed the book precisely. What they did was they made a movie that sucked.
It did. Well, it bombed completely.
Well, I think it probably made its money back, but that's why they put Tom Cruise in it, because anything he's in, it's guaranteed to make its money back.
Yeah, that's all it did do, was make its money back. It didn't actually sort of like go out and say, well, look, you know, this is the story. But the first original movie was very, very close to the book. Granted, it was recorded in America. But I have actually seen an animated commercial on television advertising Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds 5.1 Dolby Surround Sound CD.
Doubly, yeah.
Yeah, doubly. And to be honest with you, those little snippets that I've seen on the TV are very true to the book.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that because no one reads books anymore. But the point is that it was a terrible film. It was just, it kind of started, and then suddenly it was over, and you thought, well, they paused halfway. I mean, the last film that I saw that actually paused halfway was Towering Inferno. When it first came out, when the gas explosion happened and they were on the stairs. Do you remember that bit when Paul Newman, I think, was leading them down the stairs and the gas exploded and they were left hanging in mid-air on the from the banister of the staircase, and then the curtain came down and you had to go out and buy ice cream. They actually used to stop films halfway through. Yeah. But that's what it felt like at the end of War of the Worlds. It's like they were going and going and going and they just stopped. It was like they'd run out of money.
Yeah, well, there's also, you know, the thing is, nowadays, as you correctly said, all they're out is to make a fast buck, and the directors just don't care what they actually put into the movie.
Well, I think it's
or anything going into it at all now.
Yeah, but it's show business, isn't it? It's always been show business. They've always gone out to make a bit of money. But I think in the in the late 60s and 70s, sort of the Easy Rider and people like Francis Ford Coppola and Scorsese and you know, all those people like that. None of those names are actually coming to mind anymore, but I can picture them. They all were crazy, and they were on drugs most of the time, and they were just given their head. Lucy's frowning at me. Not on drugs at all, she's saying. But you know, they were just nuts, and they were given the freedom to do whatever they wanted, because after they'd had a hit, then they were just given the keys to Hollywood. But that's not the case anymore, because one hit doesn't guarantee another.
But even then, you know, a lot of the older movies, you know, they were made with a certain amount of feeling to sort of like follow a storyline and the script. So the film was actually watchable, and you could watch it. And as you rightly said, there was the older films, there was a start, a middle, and an ending. But with a lot of the movies, especially like The War of the Worlds and Towering Inferno, it was sort of like start and finish, and what happened to the bit in the middle? Well,
I think you're looking at the history through rose-tinted spectacles there, Stuart, because all you have to do is turn on TCM. You get that channel? Turner Classic Movies. Yeah. And most of the stuff that's on during the day is unwatchable. I mean, old films weren't necessarily great because they were old. It's just that we remember the good ones and forget about all the bad ones.
But can I ask you a question? Did you see the original War of the Worlds?
I did, yeah.
Come out. I must admit, you know, that was good because it did actually...
Don't say it followed the book.
No, it's the fact that it was, how can I say, a film ahead of its time as far as special effects were concerned.
Yeah.
But nowadays, there's too many special effects, especially with the remake of the Poseidon Adventure, which I think has been done about 6 times.
The problem with special effects nowadays is that everybody expects everything. Like, nothing is surprising anymore, because we know that anything is possible. And so now it's like a shrug of the shoulders, okay. And films that are now just special effects vehicles aren't very interesting anymore. What we actually like is actual stories, which is why Harry Potter, unbelievably, 3 of those films are in the top 5 grossing films ever made, which is incredible. But the reason is because they're actual stories. I mean, the books are unreadable, of course, because she's not that great a writer. But always go and, forget about the book and go and see the movie. Will you do that for me?
I've actually seen a couple on Sky Channel, on one of the Sky movie channels.
Right, without mentioning any brand
yeah,
names.
I
Sky,
thoroughly enjoyed
you
them.
say? That's good. And how did you like them?
I thoroughly enjoyed them, to be honest with you.
Oh, there you go. So it's not, everything is not all bad under the new sun, right?
That's correct. I totally agree with you.
I got so tied up in words there, I don't even know what I meant myself, but as long as you agree. Thanks a lot, Stuart.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nick.
Ta-ta. This is LBC 97.3, and Wayne Rooney has just got himself a new car, like he needs another one. And this is very upsetting on several levels. What does Colleen McLaughlin do, Lucy? You know about this sort of stuff, because she's just bought him a £195,000 Aston Martin Vanquish for her fiancé, Wayne.
I'm not exactly sure what she does, but I know she's said that she earns her own money.
The 20-year-old chose the 190-mile-an-hour supercar as a good luck gift for the World Cup. Oh, God, that's what you want to do, give an 18-year-old a 195-mile-an-hour car. I mean, just give him a bicycle or a skateboard. Well, no, of course, probably in his contract he can't do either of those two things. A close friend revealed she wanted to do something lovely for Wayne. Her career has taken off in such a big way recently that she can afford to splash out. He'll be thrilled. Striker Rooney, 20, who is due for delivery of his Aston around about now, owns a string of luxury cars. They include a BMW Yo, a Cadillac Sparkleade, and a Mercedes Pimp Wagon. So her career has taken off to the extent that she can afford to buy a almost 200 grand car. What does she do? I mean, how much would you have to be earning in your career to be able to throw 200 grand at a car? I mean, you'd have to be earning £1 million a year, right? Otherwise, it would be too much of a chunk. I mean, you couldn't be earning only £200,000 a year, which is more than almost 99% of the population. Well, not almost, certainly more than 99% of the population, right? I mean, that's Roman Abramovich money. That's gigantic. To spend on an Aston, they break down every 2 minutes, don't they? I mean, you'd need somebody to follow you around all the time with a pickup truck. They look great, though, and that's my problem. Wayne Rooney is going to spoil the inside of that car. Am I right?
You're jealous.
It's the best-looking car in the world, and that potato-faced boy will be sitting on the inside of it. He shouldn't be allowed to touch the outside. Wouldn't he be better off driving, like, I don't know, a tractor? Or a cow? He could be... He could drive a cow with a plough on the back of it, would be more up his street. And Aston? No, Aston must be furious. They spent all that money making that car look the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen. And there's a picture of it there, Lucy. Are you dribbling yet? I know Alex is. Look
Cars
at that.
don't really do it for me.
I know, you're
I'm a girl.
Exactly. What about that, Alex? Am I right?
Beautiful.
Stunning. It's got Wayne Rooney's face on the inside of it. That's what I hope it gets blacked out glass. Because otherwise it'd be painful to look at, right? I am in shock. Because at least in a Cadillac Sparkleade, that's an ugly-looking car to begin with, so he couldn't mess it up. But look at it, an Aston, it's just gorgeous, and it's just, I don't even want him to touch it. He's sitting in it. His bottom is on that seat. Oh. Am I being unkind?
Possibly a little bit, you know.
Here's a complaint that they got at the BBC. The BBC breakfast presenter, Kate Silverton, she's actually good. I mean, the simpering woman is the one that I can't stand. I can't remember what her name is. I think she's Welsh. But the Kate Silverton, she's all right. But the simpering woman that they've got, oh, my God, I just want to pull your teeth out. But it's not her. Kate Silverton had viewers adjusting their sets yesterday. It was, she later admitted, a marmalade-dropping moment as she showed off her new outfit, a green and yellow psychedelic blouse with matching scarf. And there's a picture of it there, and it does look like one of those things that you stare at for 2 minutes, and then you see a dolphin. You know, one of those 3D things that you stare and stare and stare, and then it all becomes visible? Complaints flooded in, and she said she was sorry. My blouse has divided opinion. I apologise if it's made you turn down the contrast on your set. I do apologise to those of you who hate it. Can you believe that? People were watching breakfast news, getting the kids ready to go to school and, washing your face and brushing your teeth and whatever disgusting morning ritual you have to go through, cooking your porridge, which I do every day. It's boring. And they had the time to call in and complain about a blouse that a woman presenting was wearing. I mean, does that beat everything? And not just one nut. Complaints flooded in, such that she had to apologise on air for what she was wearing. Unbelievable. I mean, I previously thought that people only complained by calling up to radio stations. Because when you're on the air, people will go, "Oh, I don't like you." They'll actually ring up and say that. And my response was usually, well, if you didn't like what ITV had on at the moment, would you actually call ITV and ask them to take it off? I mean, you have to be off your head. You just changed the channel, right? But apparently it's not. These nuts aren't only associated with radio stations. They're actually calling up TV, and not when they've got hours in the evening as well. At breakfast. I think that some people should have their phones taken away. Their phone privileges should be removed. All right, Lucy's off to get the papers. I'll be flipping through those so you don't have to. But first we're going to go to Reigate. Hello, Alan.
Good morning. How are we, Nick?
I'm all right, thanks.
Good. Well, you did have a little go at John Prescott, didn't you?
A little. Well, so everybody else is. Why can't I?
Absolutely, I agree entirely. More importantly, if I was running a company and I had some directors and they behaved like Prescott, Mandelson and Blunkett, and I let them off with it, my first question would be, what have they got on the boss?
Well, if you were if those people were actually running a company, then the company would be out of business by now.
Certainly would, and the managing director would have to explain to the shareholders why he was keeping them on board. And the first question the shareholders would ask, which we as the British public should ask, is, what have they got on the boss? What do they know? What's going on behind the scenes that none of us know about?
And those shareholders would be manhandled out of the building.
Oh, absolutely, by the security guys.
Exactly,
even though they were old farts and sort of, weren't going to do anybody any harm, but were just asking a question. However, I'd just ask people to ponder that question. What do they know?
What he means there is, what do they know?
Just
instant translation for you.
Yes, that's wonderful, Nick. Anyway, very interesting show. Love listening to you.
All right, cheers, mate.
You take care. Have a good night.
Thanks, Alan.
That little one for everybody to think about.
All right, ta-da.
Cheers.
Who's Gobby Logan? Alex. Hey, what do you think about this? You know Gobby Logan?
Yeah.
The woman that used to do the sport on... Thanks very much. First you need a crane to bring this. God, that's so heavy. Nobody reads any of this stuff. Do you realise this? They're not doing their bit to save the environment, the Sunday newspaper people, because most of it you throw away. Like, you get the Sunday Times, and you just go through, throw away the business, and you throw away the jobs, and you throw away the money, and you throw away the silly women's magazine. Actually, I do read that. I flip through it. And I hate myself for doing it.
You can recycle them in your own home, I've discovered.
Right.
No, well,
I recycle them by throwing them away.
Well...
I feel like I'm doing my bit.
There's another way you could do your bit. Anthea Turner...
Oh, no.
Well, she does a programme about how to be the perfect housewife.
How should she know?
And, well, apparently she is the perfect housewife, according to this programme. And, anyway, she showed how you can mulch your papers into a little brick.
What, by chewing them?
No, you stick them into a little container and mulch them down, and then when they dry out, you can stick them on your fire. And they're quite good for, the beginnings.
Or you could build a conservatory. If it's less than 10% of the square footage of your current house, you don't need planning permission.
True, but
John Prescott will not come over and sit on you. Oh, and the first... the paper on the pile is The People. I didn't realise that this was still being printed.
Quality paper.
Yeah. Of course, they've got a lot of stories about... they've got an inside pull-out section on Iraq and the danger we all face. No, they don't. The Peephole. Ant and Dec's stag do mayhem. Well, they get married. It's about time.
Ant is, isn't he?
Oh, it's about time, isn't it? They've been going out for so long. They're perfectly, they're perfect together. I mean, they're both 3 feet tall. Where else are they going to find another 3 foot tall, paramour? Yeah, that's the second time I've used that word. I don't even know what it means.
Sounds really good.
And, Imogen shock at Caesar's sex flop secrets. Your big brother. Caesar's sex flop secrets. This guy. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Big Brother a lot. But this guy went into the house and said, I earn £250,000 a year, and I've got, I'm a businessman. I'm rich, I am, he said, showing off his Argos jewellery. And the Sun the other day said, yeah, we checked. He's had 10 businesses, and they've all failed. One closed, owning 100 grand, and he lives with his mum. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, dear. There was a watershed moment before which you could not talk about the size of a gentleman's gentleman. Right? And then came the point at which it was all they were interested in. You know, they called him Caesar the Sleazer, or Caesar the Sleazer. Well, they got something else now. Caesar the Tweezer. Ex-lover says he would need one to find his manhood. It's almost worth the 80p cover price of your super soar-away peephole today. And on the front cover, it's Dirty Den in £15 a night B&B. He's staying in a hotel. Oh, well, that's front page news, isn't it? Shall I go through them all?
Can you do that quiz again?
What quiz?
The Sunday Times
Did
one.
you like that?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
All right, well, I'll get through the... Oh, this is almost like Newsnight, isn't it? We'll go through the papers, and if you confuse me for Jeremy Paxman, well, then that's just your fault. The Sunday Mirror has got football all over it, and Peter Crouch. Can you believe that somebody who's 8'6" is called Crouch? Which is what he has to do every time he goes through a doorway. Poor bloke. And now he's committed to doing that stupid dance every time he scores a goal. He should stop doing that straight away. I mean, I know they're not noted for their brains, but really, that's just embarrassing. What's the greatest goal celebration in history? I'll tell you. It happened after the greatest goal in history. Do you know the answer to this, Alex?
Is it the leg rub?
The what? No, that's what happens in the changing room afterwards. That's why a lot of football players all come down with colds at the same time. Yeah, it's very suspicious. No, it was Gaza. Euro 96. Gaza, it was England against Scotland. I can't remember the defender's name. Paul Gascoigne gets the ball on the left-hand side of the penalty area, chips over the defender, and, without the ball hitting the ground, volleys into the right-hand side of the net. Greatest goal I've ever seen. Followed by the greatest celebration ever as well. He charges to the right-hand side of the touchline and lies prostrate on the ground with his mouth open because they just had him, the tabloid press, in what they call the dentist's chair, where they poured alcohol into his open mouth. Remember that? Euro 90, and they'll be coming up with loads of stories about the football like that as well. They'll be following in and out of bars. They'll be tempting them with prostitutes. They've got all that stuff up their sleeves in order to ruin our chances of actually winning. That's what the tabloid press are actually trying to do. Believe me, they will do that. It's a scared look on your face, Alex.
I'm shocked.
Don't be shocked. But to resemble that, he lay flat on the ground and opened his mouth, and you could see him go, come on, because they'd obviously practiced this, right? And they got the water, those bottles of water, and they squirted it in his mouth. Hilarious. The best goal celebration in history. I just thought I might, because you looked like you were wondering, so I thought I'd tell you. Sunday Mirror. It's got Peter Crouch. And Sharon's a vulgar bully. It's like I was saying earlier on. This is Sharon Osbourne, and that's that reality celebrity X Factor. None of the celebrities anyone's ever heard of. And it's just PR. But that's That's that PR company. Oops. That's worth every penny, isn't it? That's the front page. I mean, they must have sent this story off, thinking, oh well, we'll get it on page 6 or 7, a little story, and that'll be worth the £2 million a year that you spend us to take care of your account. Front page of the Daily Mirror, Sunday Mirror. That's embarrassing. I haven't read the Mirror for a good long while. Because when I'm doing a show like this, I get the Telegraph and the Sun. Now, I know they're both right-wing, but I'm kind of left-wing leaning, and so I feel we'll meet in the middle, so I don't need to buy the Guardian. I just can't be bothered with it, it's just so boring. And I used to read the Guardian when I was a student, and I've left childish things behind. So I just can't. So I read the Telegraph and the Sun, because I think between them, that's a pretty good cross-section of the country, right? You've got the best-selling tabloid and the best-selling broadsheet. That's it covered. But they'd run out of the Sun. And so I picked up the Mirror, and the Mirror's a funny thing. It's like the Sun, but cheaper. Do you know what I mean? It's like the Sun, but done less well. And the only I don't mean it's more intelligent. I mean, I don't mean that the Sun is more intelligent, but it just seems that the Mirror seems a bit black and white. Do you know what I mean? I think the Sun is generally an awful paper, and I don't agree with anything it stands for. And the stories in it are usually absolute rubbish. But at least it seems to have more life to it. Does that make sense? It's probably got more money, because the things are not good at the Mirror, are they? Ask Sly Bailey. Anyway, the Mail. Foreigner, front page of the Mail. But for once, it's not them trying to kick them out, it's the band. They've got a... it's the first time the word foreigner has appeared on the front page of the Daily Mail in a positive light. They're giving away a CD. These days, it's you get a newspaper with your CD. And seriously, all you have to do is turn on the radio and you hear Foreigner until you've had it up to your ears. Who on God's earth needs a CD of Foreigner free with your Daily Mail? And you wouldn't think the people who read the Mail would be remotely interested in Foreigner, would you? They'd be more interested in, brass bands and military marching music. McFreebie. Fans fury as MPs scrounge £1,000 World Cup tickets from that Temple of Health McDonald's. MPs have been given free World Cup tickets by fast food giant McDonald's to the fury of ordinary fans who face being locked out of England's matches. Are there any ordinary fans who've actually managed to get their hands on tickets? Because it's all going to corporate, isn't it? I think something like... I'm going to pull a figure out of the air here and say it with confidence so that you'll believe me. 60% of the tickets that have been made available for the matches have actually gone to corporate. No one can get in. Isn't that outrageous? Lucy couldn't care less. She's going to be watching EastEnders all the while.
I'm not. I will watch it.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're going to watch all of it? You're going to watch
Most of
games that England don't appear in?
Well, I'll probably be forced to.
You know, some of the games are going to be coinciding with the start of this programme.
Really?
Well, I think some start at 8.
Oh. Well, I can't watch them then.
The Parliamentary Football Club, whose members include Health Minister Andy Burnham, Pensions Minister James Purnell, and these are key positions in the Cabinet, right? Never heard of them. Ever heard of them? They might as well be on Celebrity X Factor. We've got no idea who they are. They secured the coveted tickets after approaching McDonald's, despite its role in the long-running storm over healthy eating. What has McDonald's got to do with the football, by the way? I mean, really? Shouldn't it be apples and oranges and, water? No, it's beer and burgers. No footballer of a professional mean would be seen within 100 miles of a burger or a beer. They just don't do it, do they? That's why they look like that. That's why everybody else in this country looks like we do. Because we do beers and burgers. With their crop tops and the low-slung jeans. And the explosion of puffy white flesh from in between them. Horrific. I'm going to go around with my mobile. Now I've got a mobile phone that takes pictures. Whether it can receive calls, I've no idea. But it takes videos and pictures and plays music and God knows all what. I'm going to go around as a public service, taking pictures of women's rear portions, especially when they sit down. Oh, my... And show it to them. Here's what you look like, dear. Go home. Change. Well, I just feel like I'm doing my bit. News of the MP's freebies brought a furious response from English supporters last night. More than 100,000 are travelling to Germany for the tournament, but of the 48,000 tickets available for the Paraguay match, only 5,000 have been allocated to England fans. 100,000 are going, 5,000 will get tickets. Isn't that incredible? 48,000 tickets available for the match, 5,000 to England fans. Who's running this show? I mean, who else... So there's my point right there. I mean, you think Paraguay are going to be taking the other 43,000? Everybody who lives in Paraguay will be playing. Their entire population will be on the pitch. So everybody else is corporate. That is awful. That's a scandal, isn't it? Because the Germans aren't going to be going. Why would they care? Paraguay versus England. Not remotely interested. So everything else is going to be... this, politicians on a freebie. Anyway, that's your Daily Mail. What else have they got inside? Some more about Peter Crouch's dancing. He's got the skinniest legs in the world. How he can even stand up, let alone kick a ball, is just beyond me. I mean, he just looks... He's all angles, isn't he? It's just... I don't know, it's just something not right. Like he should be... Like he should have strings on him, like a puppet, you know? Are his muscles actually strong enough to hold him up? News of the world. Bomb suspect shot by brother. Oh, this is a twist that we haven't heard. Police claim on gun... This is the first picture of the gunned-down poison bomb suspect shot by his own brother. Really? Well, that's the first issue of the News of the World. I wonder if they change their story later on. Posh's cute little nippers... join the party. 2 pictures accompany this story.
You're not talking about her kids, are you?
Well, the bigger picture is of her in what looks like a vest, and it must have been cold that day. And there's a smaller picture of her. It's like they've zoomed in on the vest. And then a smaller picture, they've zoomed out, and she's with her children. Headline, Posh's cute little... cute little nippers. There's a picture of them right there, Alex. There you go. Two of them. What are they called? Romeo and Brooklyn. That's right, I've got no idea what the children are called. There's the News of the World. Are we behind a break? I could sit here and read the papers all night long, but that would be wrong.
Anna Rayburn.
Lucy, we don't have the glosses, so your test can't be undertaken.
Should we go and find them?
We haven't got the glossy supplements.
That's ruined my night now.
Yeah. You can if you like. But I wouldn't know anyone to talk to, because as I've started talking about this, everyone's just sitting on their hands, aren't they? Because no one has an opinion about the news. Apparently no one has an opinion about anything I've said so far tonight. Well, we've taken like 2 calls. No, but we've got no... the glosses aren't here, I'm afraid, and it's the quizzes in the Silly Women's lifestyle.
It was the Times, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Sunday Times
Do you want me to run downstairs?
Style section. If you like.
You can time me. That's what my mother used to say to get me to do things quickly.
All right, go on then. And she's taking her time, crawling to the door. Can I take a call straight to air, Alex? I can? How do you do that? Just go root, hit, on air. No, that didn't work. Do you want to do it for me? You can't do it either. You're useless at this. Hey, Jerry.
Oh, hello, brilliant show. It's a shame we haven't got more callers.
Oh, well.
Can you entice them on with a quiz or a sex story or...
The problem is, if I don't tell people what to call about, they're sitting, well, he hasn't told us what to call about.
When you're full of conspiracy theories, much as I am.
Yeah, I'm full of it.
No, seriously, I mean, I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories around the Diana 9/11, and there's a plane that was obviously shot down in the forest and so on. There's all sorts of stories. I mean, you could do a whole program on conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that's the last thing I want to do. I'll do a program on conspiracy theories right after I do one called Have You Seen a Ghost? But thanks a lot, Jerry.
Okay, good night.
Cheers for your support. Ta-da. Another unsatisfied customer. Okay, the Daily Star. Yeah, this could be a whole show. If we get the papers early, I'll just sit and read the papers. In fact, I'll just read them to myself. You amuse yourselves. You can whistle if you like. I'll marry Imogen, says Caesar the Tweezer. He's never going to live this down for the rest of his life. That guy who's on Big Brother, he wanted to call himself Caesar the Geezer because he was a geezer, but now they're calling him Caesar the Tweezer because he'd need one to find his manhood. He's never going to live that down. That's the Daily Star. Good grief. You see what I mean? Look, that's about 3 feet worth of... And that's just the glossy supplements. No one's going to read them. Anthrax terror bomb hunt. The Sunday Express. The Observer. The Observer's very small, don't you think? And what do you think about the size of the... What do they call it? Is it a Berliner? Is that what they call it? The size that the Observer is. I guess the Guardian is now as well. I haven't picked up the Guardian since they changed. But I just think it's unsatisfactorily small, don't you?
I quite like it, actually, that size.
Not even Caesar has seen anything that small. The Sunday Telegraph. Hundreds of child slaves sold into the UK every year. Huh. That's that. What else? Okay, these are all bits. Sunday Times, the front page of the Sunday Times. I bet you it's latest government... just unbelievable incompetence by the government, which will be forgotten about tomorrow. Let's have a look. Straw plans to join battle for Deputy PM if Prescott quits. No, I was wrong there. One small putt for man, one giant drive for mankind. It's enough to make Tiger Woods weep. The world's best golfer can drive a ball 350 yards, but a Russian novice named Mikhail is lining up for a 2 billion-mile tee shot. A Russian cosmonaut is scheduled to become only the second man to hit a golf shot in space. Unlike Alan Shepard, the American astronaut who took a couple of swings on the surface of the moon in 1971, this guy will launch his ball into orbit using a gold-plated 6-iron from a special tee attached to a platform on the International Space Station 250 miles above Earth. Oh, it's a good job they're spending their money wisely, isn't it? £100 billion to put a man in space to play games. And he's going to launch a golf ball into space, and then what? Was he going to track it? He's going to see if it lands near the hole, 1 trillion miles away. That's just silly. And that's the front page of the Sunday Times. They haven't got anything to write, have they? Anyway. You're waiting for your quiz. Have we got a break to come? Oh, no.
No, you haven't.
Oh, no, I'll have to fill. Hang on a minute. Right, this is to test whether you are actually a proper girl or not. And last week, I think you failed miserably.
No, I didn't. I was a proper girl.
I knew you were going to say that. No, I didn't. Right then, are you ready? This is the in-out list in the silly supplement that is... why A.A. Gill's restaurant review is in this silly style section, I've got no idea, because it doesn't deserve to be in there. Ooh, he doesn't like that restaurant. 2 stars... He's very upset. Actually, he's probably loving it, because he can write much funnier things about things that are bad than are good. That's why critics are always bitching and moaning about stuff, because that's where the humour is. You can't write funny things about good things. Like Gobby Logan. I started to talk about this. You can add that to the list of 1,000 things that I started to talk about but didn't actually finish a sentence. This show is a shower. Anyway, these are up or down. You have to... this is an in-out list, right? And you have to tell me which is going up and which is going down. Okay. Cycling shorts.
Down.
How do you know this stuff? Fashion thinks they're a good idea again. We'll agree to disagree. Really? Fashion? Who wears cycling shorts for fashion?
Well, people used to. In the 80s they were fashionable.
Nonsense.
They were.
With whom?
Well, I believe I owned a pair. Oh dear.
Avril Lavigne.
Oh, Up.
Wrong!
Oh.
I'm going to start marking you here because you're going to get most of these wrong, I know it. Avril Lavigne, skater girl to red carpet diva in one easy leap. Something's not adding up. There's another one, I've got no idea, really. I mean, she did that skater boy thing.
Skater boy thing, yeah.
And now she's a what?
Well, then I thought she got a bit cooler, but now, I don't know. She's not my bag of sugar.
Quirky dressing. That's like dressing quirkily.
Thanks for explaining.
Yeah, I thought I'd give you a clue.
Up.
All over Cannes this year, think Alice McCall dress. Who's that? Lulu Guinness bag. Lulu. Beatrix Ong shoes. They're making this stuff up. Yeah, it's up. You got that one correct. Summer rain.
Down.
Up. Summer Rain is up, and specifically the site of Pretty Drenched Boys in the Rain. You see what I mean about this? This is a silly magazine. You're thinking about John Prescott drenched in the rain now, aren't you?
I am not.
His shirt clinging to his ample curves.
Oh.
Max Pink Nouveau lipstick. I'll give you that one. It's got to be, as soon as they mention a brand name, it's up, up, up. Because they could be advertising in their magazine, and they don't want to upset the advertisers. Neon lights.
Down.
Up. Oh. You're rubbish at this game.
I'm not good this week at all.
Blinking Blackpool Pier kitsch as art in the home, like Dan Flavin.
Up.
No, that's the neon lights.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was the next one.
Like Dan Flavin. That's I introduced a spot of art into this programme. It's almost redeemed itself. Pensions.
Down.
Down is the correct answer. Raising the age again, they may as well just pay for our funerals. Can you get funerals on the NHS anymore? On the NHS. you go out the back way when they've failed. The queues, miles long. The Great Tat Attack, that's World Cup memorabilia.
Oh, well...
Flags and cups.
I know.
And
well, I've a feeling it's probably going up.
Down.
Oh,
this is a women's magazine. Down. World Cup memorabilia. You're not thinking. The Great Tat Attack. Rubbish World Cup memorabilia overload alert. Take cover. And 060606, as in the date.
Up.
Down.
Oh.
The day of the beast finally arrives. Stay at home or brave it out. What date is it?
What, 060606?
No, I know what date that is. It would be 060606.
Well, that's on Tuesday.
Oh, right. So what date is it? You know what? I've got
Today?
a pile of newspapers 3 feet high, all of which have the date on it.
It's the 4th now.
What an idiot I am. So only 2 days to go till 060606. Right, so pull all of the money out of your bank and start spending it crazily. A shop's only open for 6 hours on a Sunday, so you really have to go at it. So it's been and gone, hasn't it? What a fantastic show! I've been thrilled from start to finish. How did you feel about it, Lucy?
I hate it.
Okay. All right, that's it. I'm back next Saturday at 10. Bye bye now.
On FM. On the